Chapter 2280. In his opinion, even the 13th brother was able to injure him. So the 12th brother felt that he wasn't his opponent at all. Especially after receiving the 6th brother's warning, he wouldn't rashly make a move against this peak heaven rank late stage freak. So he just frowned and waved his hand at the people behind him, indicating that they shouldn't act rashly, even if this person was the murderer who killed the 13th brother. Then the 12th brother was definitely not his opponent. The 13th brother was only a little weaker than him, but this crazy old man with the strength of the peak heaven rank late stage was obviously domineering and full of true chi, as if he wasn't injured at all. In other words, this person killed the 13th brother without any injuries. What kind of concept was that? The 12th brother was very clear in his heart. No wonder the 6th brother said that the enemy was very strong. Since that was the case, he naturally didn't need to stop him. So he let the heaven rank freak run down the mountain and run away in front of everyone's eyes, although the other families and gangs in the town were also very puzzled by such an obvious powerhouse. Where did he come from? But no one was stupid enough to stop him and question him. The strength of the heaven rank freak was completely exposed. As long as it was a practitioner, they would be able to see that he was an expert with the strength of the peak heaven rank late stage, who would dare to act rashly. Phew. The 12th brother watched the heaven rank freak go far away before letting out a sigh of relief. He had been under a lot of psychological pressure just now. After all, the 13th brother might have died in that person's hands, and this kind of pressure of seeing an enemy but not being able to make a move made the 12th brother feel very uncomfortable. A little impatience spoils great plans. The 12th brother reminded himself, then quickly calmed his emotions, took a pen and paper, and wrote down what he saw, then tied it to the feet of the flying spirit beast and let it fly out. He had to inform the 6th brother of this news as soon as possible. At the top of the Wulong Hout mountain range, the 6th brother looked at the 12th brother's letter and sighed in his heart. Sure enough, his guess was right. It was an expert with the strength of the peak heaven rank late stage. It was right that the 12th brother didn't stop him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been his opponent. Thinking of the huge pit at the top of the mountain range, the 6th brother felt shocked. This level of expert was probably similar to his master, infinitely close to the peak heaven rank late stage, only lacking an opportunity to step into the heavenly law, just a peak late stage heaven rank left. That means that Zhang Naipeo and his wife are still in the Yulong Mountains? A cold smile appeared on Old Six's face as he thought of this possibility. That's good news. Originally, Old Six was thinking that if someone were to kill 13th, it would be that person who was supporting Zhang Naipeo and his wife. If this person were to stay by their side, then he and Old 12 wouldn't be able to take the food from the tiger's mouth. Even if they teamed up, they'd be in a very passive position. Old Six, on the other hand, had been hiding, not daring to show his face in public. He was also afraid of being attacked by a peak late-stage heaven-class master. He wanted to wait for the three to separate, but that didn't seem to be necessary now. Zhang Naipeo and his wife didn't go down the mountain, but the heaven-class monster did. As long as he and Old 12 stayed at the foot of the mountain, these two wouldn't be able to escape. What Old 6 and Old 12 thought of, naturally, was what Lin Yi thought as well. The heaven-class monster had run away for no reason, and Lin Yi had lost this powerful bodyguard. Naturally, he became more careful, especially with the disappearance of the Spider Clan. This made him feel that this Wulong Mountains was full of mysteriousness. He carefully followed Skybolt Pig and Sun Jingyi to the Fire Lion clan's turf, but what surprised Lin Yi was that the Fire Lions weren't in their nest. There were only 3 lions in the Fire Lion clan, and it was possible for them to go out together. Although Lin Yi's heart sank when he saw the empty nest, he still waited here with Sun Jingyi. There was an ancient seal on the outside, but it wasn't set up for Lin Yi, Sun Jingyi, and Skybolt Pig. They could enter without a hitch, and they wouldn't have to worry about any intruders. Why is the Fire Lion clan not here? Jingyi, too, felt that something wasn't right. Lin Yi might be able to keep his composure, but she wasn't. I don't know, But this is strange. Linny said, "We can't rule out the possibility that they went out to look for food or treasures. Let's wait and see." Sun Jingyi nodded, feeling very depressed. If she knew that this trip to the Wulonghout mountain range would cause so much trouble and encounter so many strange things, she wouldn't have suggested Lin Yi to accompany her here. This place was too dangerous, and it was full of suspense. They waited for a day and a night, but the Fire Lion clan still didn't return. This situation made Lin Yi feel more and more uneasy. The Spider clan disappeared, and the Fire Lion clan also disappeared. Moreover, it seemed like it happened at the same time. Previously, Lin Yi and the Fire Lion clan agreed that when they went down the mountain, they would come here to pick up a Fire Stream God Bomb. In theory, even if the Fire Lion clan went out to look for treasures, it was impossible for the whole clan to go out. There had to be one person left here to wait for Lin Yi. Even if they all went out, they would rush back as soon as possible. It was impossible for them to leave for so long without any movement. This didn't match the Fire Lion clan's character. They wouldn't neglect a benefactor like Lin. Skybolt Pig, can you sense where the Fire Lion clan is? Lin Yi turned to look at Skybolt Pig and asked. However, Skybolt Pig shook his head and squeaked twice. Then he used his claws to write on the soft ground. It's been too long. The smell has disappeared, can't be traced. Moreover, they don't seem to be in the range of my senses. Not in the range of my senses? Lin Yi frowned. Although the smell of the Fire Lion's route might have disappeared under normal circumstances, Skybolt Pig could also find the spiritual beasts and treasures he was looking for without relying on this route. Since Skybolt Pig said so, did it mean that the Fire Lion clan had really gone far? They shouldn't be in the Wulonghout mountain range anymore. Skybolt Pig wrote on the ground again. Ha! Lin Yi looked at the words written by Skybolt Pig and couldn't help but get a shock. Not in the Wulonghout mountain range? Then where did the Fire Lion clan go? The Fire Lion clan usually didn't even go to the upper and lower ranges. Now that they were not in the mountain range, where did they go? Chapter 2281. Lin Yi took a deep breath. Although this news shocked him, ever since the mysterious disappearance of the Spider clan, Lin Yi's mental fortitude had become a bit stronger. Seeing that the Fire Lion clan had also mysteriously disappeared, he only wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. Similarly, Lin Yi wrote a message for the Fire Lion before leaving with Sun Jingyi and the Skybolt Pig. As for the truth behind the disappearance of the Fire Lion clan and the Spider clan, it had to be pushed back to the night when Lin Yi stayed in the Spider clan's nest. A silk bridge was finally built in the wee hours of the morning. Just as the heaven-rank spider was about to bring its clansmen back to rest, something unexpected happened. Roar! An angry roar echoed as 3 fiery red silhouettes rapidly rushed over. The Fire Lion had brought the cubs and lionesses to attack the Spider clan. The 3 figures were extremely fast. Before the Spider race could react, the 3 figures had already jumped onto the Spider race's silk bridge, forcing the Spider race that was preparing to retreat back to the other side of the mountain stream. Although this silk bridge was built by the Spider clan, destroying it wasn't something that could be done in a day. They couldn't be like the Fire Lion and burn the silk bridge. They also couldn't stop the Fire Lion from bringing the cubs and lionesses onto the silk bridge. They could only keep retreating and escaping. Roar! The great Fire Lion roared angrily, and the little Fire Lion and lioness beside it also roared angrily. After the great Fire Lion got off the silk bridge, it no longer had any scruples. It directly released a flame breath, burning the spiders that were too slow to escape. Immediately, a large number of spiders were burned. Although it wasn't life-threatening, these spiders would have to use up a lot of treasures to recover. The heaven-rank spider's expression was very gloomy. It hadn't expected that the Fire Lion would choose to attack at this time, and it was 3 Fire Lions at once. What was even more strange was that the cubs and lioness's strength had actually increased to the peak of the late phase of the mystic class. In this way, although the little fire lion and the lioness, who originally had no combat strength, could not use flame breath, they could still activate the fire element true energy. This hot true energy was also fatal to the spider race when it came out with their claws. Today, when the heaven-rank spider saw the little spider picking the treasure on the cliff, it knew that things weren't going to be easy. This was because that heavenly treasure was a heavenly treasure that was useful to the Fire Lion clan, just like the heavenly treasure that was useful to the Spider clan that the little spider had picked. As for the fire elemental heaven and earth treasure at the edge of the cliff, it was actually not very useful to the Spider clan. This was the first time that the little spider had gone out alone to gain experience, so it did not know such common knowledge. It had also plucked the heaven and earth treasure from the Fire Lion clan. This had violated the tacit understanding between the two clans. Although the spirit beasts of the two clans usually clashed over treasures, they were only fighting over treasures that were useful to both clans. As for treasures that were only useful to one of the clans, the spirit beasts of both clans would tacitly choose to ignore them. After all, this kind of thing was useless to their own clan. What was the point of picking it? When you pick someone else's, someone else would also pick yours. In the end, both sides would suffer. Wouldn't that be a problem? Therefore, for thousands of years, this had almost become an unwritten rule between the two clans on the Wulonghout mountain range. The little spider didn't know this and touched the Fire Lion clan's fire treasure. At that time, because Lin Yi was present and they had just found the little spider, the heaven-rank spider didn't say much. It hoped that the treasure was on the edge of the cliff and the Fire Lion clan wouldn't notice it. But now, seeing the Fire Lion clan furiously looking for trouble, the heaven-rank spider knew that the Fire Lion clan definitely knew that the fire heaven treasure had been picked. In the middle of the Wulonghout mountain range, there were only these two clans of spirit beasts. Other ordinary little beasts didn't dare to step into the territory of the middle from the lower ridges, let alone pick the treasure. Therefore, the fire attribute heavenly treasure was either picked by the Fire Lion clan or by the Spider clan. It was no wonder that the Fire Lion clan was angry. That fire heavenly treasure was a heavenly treasure that had to be used to make the Fire Stream heavenly bomb. Every year, a few of these heavenly treasures would grow on the Wulonghout mountain range. The great Fire Lion knew very well that he would pick them according to the order in which they ripened. It just so happened that it was the turn of the one on the cliff, but when it went to pick it today, it found that someone had beaten it to it. This was used to make the Fireball God Bomb for its benefactor. Now that it was gone, and it couldn't make the Fireball God Bomb, how could it explain to Lin Yi? So, how could the Fire Lion not be angry? What did your Spider clan want? Did they want to break the rules that had been around for thousands of years? It was true that everyone competed for public cultivation resources, but these private cultivation resources had never interfered with each other. When did the Fire Lion clan touch your treasure? In fact, this rule was also the reason why the heaven-rank spider was at ease to let the little spider pick the treasure. After all, it belonged to the Spider clan. There was no need for the Fire Lion clan to stop and rob it. It just didn't expect that the little spider had less experience. It thought that finding one more treasure was a good thing. The heaven-rank spider knew that it was in the wrong for this matter, but it really couldn't say anything. It could only brace itself and command its clansmen to retreat quickly. The inescapable net was given to Lin Yi. They couldn't do anything to the Fire Lion clan now, so they could only avoid it. Fortunately, the Spider clan was quite united. Those spiders that weren't injured used their silk to pull the injured spiders to escape. Roar, the Fire Lion, had no intention of letting them go. It continued to spit out flames, wanting to exterminate the Spider clan. It was rare for someone to kill their way into someone else's territory for thousands of years. After all, there weren't any benefits. Whether it was the Fire Lion race or the Spider race, No one would be so bored as to harass others. If they had the energy, they might as well compete with those public treasures when they were ripe. In fact, going to other people's lair to fight would not bring them much benefits. It was just that the fire lion was really angry today. 2 hours after the fire attribute treasure was picked, it lost its original effect. So even if it was found, it would be useless. This was also the reason why it killed as soon as it came. It promised its benefactor, and now it couldn't do it. How could it not be angry? Chapter 2282. It was also a heaven-rank beast, but the other side was also one. It couldn't use rank to suppress the other side, so it could only quickly think of a way. But more and more spiders were being burned by the flame breaths, giving the heaven-rank spider a huge headache. Without the inescapable net, the spider clan definitely wasn't the fire lion clan's opponent. If it kept burning, the spider clan would be exterminated today. This timing, it was really the right time. Normally, the spider clan wouldn't be forced into a dead end. As long as there was an enemy attack, they would all hide in the cave and everything would be fine. After all, there was an ancient restriction at the entrance of the cave that the Fire Lion clan couldn't break. As for the spiders that went out to pick spirit herbs, they all carried inescapable nets. If the situation wasn't right, they would use the nets to trap the fire lions and escape with the treasures. Naturally, there were also times when they failed. After all, making inescapable nets wasn't easy. Not only did they need a few spiders to weave them, but they also needed some special Spider Clan treasures. Thus, without the inescapable net, they could only try their luck. It was very likely that they would be hit by a flame breath or a flowing fire god bullet, and then be robbed of the treasures. But regardless of which side suffered a loss, there wouldn't be any danger to their lives. But today's situation was completely different. The Fire Lion clan wanted to exterminate them. Wait a minute. The heaven-rank spider wanted to stop the Fire Lion and tell it about Lin E. After all, he was their mutual benefactor. So it might be possible for the Fire Lion clan to be magnanimous, but the heaven-rank spider's words didn't have any effect. The large flame lion simply ignored it and kept breathing flames. As for the lion cub and the lioness, they only used their claws to attack the spiders. It looked like there was no way out. This place was a cliff platform. The area of the platform wasn't large, and behind the platform was a cave. Inside the cave was a transmission array left behind by the heaven-rank spider's master. Aside from the array, there was no other way out of the cave. But the heaven-rank spider had no other choice but to lead his clansmen to retreat further and further until they were all concentrated in the cave. Isn't this a turtle in a jar? If the great fire lion really blocked the entrance of the cave, then it would be over. As long as it continued to spit flames, then the spider race in this cave would not be able to survive today. What to do? The heaven-rank spider was doing its best to think of a way. It looked like the big flame lion was truly angry, or else it wouldn't be so overbearing. It was just that the heaven-rank spider couldn't understand. Didn't they just touch one of their exclusive elixirs? It's reasonable to say that it was very easy for the great flame lion to compensate them. He just needed to burn some spider people, and then he could ask for some other elixirs as compensation. This was a profitable business. But what was going on today? From the looks of it, the great Fire Lion family did not seem to be here to scare them. They really wanted to kill them all. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to be so forceful, leaving no leeway at all. The heaven-rank spider inwardly complained. The spider race wasn't good at attacking, and even the defensive inescapable net was no longer in its hands. It was truly despairing. Great Fire Lion, wait a minute. Didn't I just pluck a fire attribute treasure? Is there a need to do this? The heaven-rank spider shouted, I can compensate you. Hey, so it was really you who plucked it. Then there's no need to talk so much nonsense. If I don't destroy your entire spider race today, I swear I won't rest. The great fire lion roared as it rushed towards the cave. The heaven-rank spider was speechless. This great fire lion simply didn't want to discuss conditions with you and directly interrupted you. You don't even want compensation? Feeling helpless, the heaven-rank spider's gaze suddenly fell on the teleportation array inside the cave. Although it knew how to open this array, it had never thought of opening it because spirit beasts and human cultivators both cultivated, but their cultivation methods were different. It was hard to say whether the future ranks above the heaven rank would be the same. Thus, the heaven rank spider didn't want to go to the heaven rank island. It was a problem for spirit beasts to adapt there. Moreover, if it left, what would happen to the spider race? How could they be a match for the Fire Lion clan? But if it left with its clansmen, wouldn't there be a problem when the entire spider race reached the other side? The teleportation array could only be used by cultivators at the heaven rank or above, although the physique of spirit beasts was a bit more special than that of human cultivators. It was hard to say whether ordinary spirit beasts could bear the energy of the teleportation array. In summary, the heaven rank spider had never thought of opening the teleportation array on its own. Otherwise, it wouldn't have told Linny about it. But now, it was a life and death moment for the spider race. Even if the great fire lion was lenient and didn't burn the spider race to death, just the burns would be a huge blow to the spider race's vitality. At that time, due to the scarcity of cultivation resources, the spider race would inevitably decline. They wouldn't be able to fight against the Fire Lion clan for at least a few hundred years. Thus, the heaven-rank spider clenched its teeth. Rather than resisting, it would be better to take the risk and let the entire race escape. Perhaps once the array was activated, there would be new opportunities for him to come across, but doing so would be a bit unfair to Lin Yi's benefactor. It had already promised him, but it hadn't expected that the situation would change so quickly. The spider race would have to use the teleportation array on its own. Seeing that exquisite array emitting a faint blue light, the heaven-rank spider inwardly sighed. If there's an opportunity in the future, I'll repay Lin Yi's kindness. Thinking of this, the heaven-rank spider quickly activated the teleportation array according to its memory, and then ordered the other spiders, "Everyone, follow me. Quickly pass." Just as the heaven-rank spider finished speaking, a multicolored ring of light appeared in front of it. When the heaven-rank spider saw this scene, it clenched its teeth and led the small spider into the ring of light, disappearing on the spot. As for the other spiders, although they felt strange as to why a halo had suddenly appeared in the cave, they unhesitantly entered the halo under the heaven-rank spider's command. But what the heaven-rank spider hadn't expected was that the Fire Lion clan actually followed after them after seeing them escape into the halo. Chapter 2283. Their Fire Lion clan had dispatched 3 fire lions in order to frustrate the spirit of the spider clan. They couldn't refine the fire stream godly bullets without that fire treasure. How could the Fire Lion clan not be angry? After everyone had entered, the halo slowly disappeared. After a few minutes, the entire cave returned to its previous darkness. There was no longer a trace of life, and it became incomparably quiet. After the halo completely disappeared, it was as if no one had ever been there. Apart from some traces of battle, there was nothing else. As for the teleportation array, it had originally been emitting a strange blue radiance. But now it had already become dim and no different from an ordinary pile of rocks. This was what had happened that night, and it was also the reason why Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi didn't find it strange when they arrived at the cave and saw the dim array. After all, the array had been activated for the last time. After that, it was no different from an ordinary pile of rocks, so Lin Yi naturally couldn't see any clues. And what the Lightning Pig said was that the Fire Lion clan was no longer in the Wulonghout mountain range. This was true because they had all disappeared, and no one knew where they had gone. Without the help of the Fire Lion clan and the heaven-rank spider, Lin Yi could only rely on himself. According to the heaven rank spider, going down the mountain from another direction would be even more dangerous. It would be better to go down the mountain the normal way. Although it would be a bit dangerous, he should be able to find another way. If they kept going forward, they would reach the lower range of the Wulonghout mountain range. Once they got close to the lower range, the danger would increase a lot. Although there were different adventurers in the lower range, it was hard to guarantee that there would be people from the Tagonlong family. Jingyi put on the 1,000 silk mask. Lin Yi thought for a bit before saying, "If we see anyone suspicious, we'll split up. You go down the mountain first, and I'll look for an opportunity to go down the mountain. Your appearance has changed, so if you're careful, you should be able to faint. But just in case, leave 2 inescapable nets." Inescapable net. 1 is enough for me. Why do you leave 2? Sun Jingyi said, hesitantly, "No, I'm fine. If I'm in danger, 1 card is enough. If 1 isn't enough, 2 cards won't be of much use," Lin Yi said. "Then, all right." Sun Jingyi hesitated for a moment before nodding. The 2 of them walked through the middle of the mountain range and walked towards the lower part of the mountain range. At the lower part of the mountain range, the jungle was obviously much denser. Lin Yi deliberately avoided several adventurer teams that came here to gather herbs or to gain experience. Who knew if there were people of the Tagon family among them? Although Lin Yi could see through the strength of those adventurers, it was always better to be careful. However, sometimes what you want to hide from will happen. Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi didn't walk far before they heard a cry for help. Lin Yi frowned and looked into the distance. He saw a team of adventurers fighting a white tiger. Blood was everywhere, but it wasn't the tiger's blood, but the adventurer's blood. That tiger wasn't a spirit beast, and it hadn't stepped into the golden rank. It didn't even have half of the golden rank strength. It was only because it was influenced by the abundant spiritual energy of heaven and earth that it possessed some of the characteristics of a spirit beast. From what Lin Yi saw, its fighting strength was about the same as the lion in the zoo. However, the adventurer's strength was a bit weak. They didn't even have a cultivator, and none of them had stepped into the golden rank. There was only a seemingly more powerful external cultivator that was fighting the tiger inextricably. Lin Yi shook his head. They dared to come up the mountain with this kind of strength. However, thinking about it, there were many elixirs on the Wulonghout Mountains. Even if it was in the lower range, the elixirs collected were also priceless. There was no lack of greedy adventurers who formed teams to come up to make a fortune. If they were lucky, the elixirs collected could be exchanged for a few years without a problem. Therefore, this high-risk but high-return industry also gave birth to many adventurers who wanted to try their luck. The members of the adventurers saw Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi from afar and immediately shouted for help. The adventurer teams in the Wulonghout mountain range rarely crossed paths. Even if they met, they would pass each other without saying a word. After all, this involved a conflict of interest. Everyone was just searching for elixirs, and due to the few families and gangs at the foot of the mountain, there would basically be no cases of killing and robbing each other of their treasures. Of course, if an adventurer encountered a beast attack, the other adventurers generally wouldn't help. After all, these adventurers who were collecting elixirs at the foot of the mountain were very low level. They couldn't even protect themselves, so why would they care about others? There were very few golden rank masters among them, and generally golden rank masters wouldn't covet the money of these elixirs. However, when Lin Yi saw the situation in front of him, his heart moved slightly, and he came up with a plan. The adventurers in front of him just happened to have one person dead, and it was a female. She was bitten to death by the tiger. If Lin Yi helped and killed the tiger, then let these people bring Sun Jingyi down the mountain. It would be a very good choice. The families and sects at the foot of the mountain might not be so thorough in their investigation. Besides, even if they were thorough, Sun Jingyi's appearance had changed. Even if they remembered how many men and women there were in this adventure team, they couldn't possibly remember everyone's appearance. Of course, the reason why Lin Yi chose this adventurer team, other than coincidence, was because this adventurer team's strength was very weak. They shouldn't be spies of the Tagan family. If they were the Tagan family's people, there was no need to put on a trick of injuring themselves to gain the confidence of others. After all, they couldn't possibly expect that Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi would pass by here at this time, and their situation should be that they were really attacked, and their identity was also that they were real adventurers. Jingyi, I'll help these people solve the problem later, and you go down the mountain with them. I'll go down the mountain alone. Lin Yi quickly told Sun Jingyi, after you go down the mountain, find a way to return to the previous border town. Don't stay in Ruilita town. Okay, I got it. Sun Jingyi nodded. Now wasn't the time to care about the gains and losses. Although she was worried about Lin Yi, this was also the most appropriate way. Otherwise, if she stayed by Lin Yi's side, Lin Yi would also be afraid and have to take care of her. Chapter 2284. After landing on the ground, the tiger's body twitched and could no longer move. Obviously, it was as dead as it could be. Lin Yi's sudden appearance surprised all the adventurers. They were both surprised and happy. The tiger died just like that. They called for Lin Yi to help, but it was just a desperate attempt. They didn't think that Lin Yi would really come to help. Moreover, it was so easy for him to kill the tiger that everyone was trembling with fear. This was simply too amazing. After a while, the adventurers cheered. The injured adventurer, who fought with the tiger, said to Lin Yi politely, "Thank you for saving us, Senior. I'm Biao, the leader of this adventure team. Senior, you must be a practitioner, right? I just stepped into the golden class not long ago," Lin Yi said faintly. He didn't reveal his strength, only the early phase of the golden class. Of course, the strength of the early phase of the golden class was more than enough to kill the tiger. No wonder. Biao's eyes showed a look of admiration. You're a practitioner indeed. Only a practitioner can solve a problem so decisively. Senior, thank you so much. It's nothing. Lin Yi waved his hand and said faintly, "Aren't you going to bandage the wound on your arm?" "Bandage, I'll do it now." Biao smiled bitterly. "I forgot about the pain. I only remembered now that you mentioned it." As he said that, Biao took out a bottle of Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine from another adventurer's bag and poured it on the wound. He then bandaged it with gauze. Lin Yi noticed that the Miracle Dr. Guan injury medicine in Biao's hand was the special edition. He couldn't help but smile. It seemed that although these adventurers lived on the edge of a knife, they had plenty of money in their pockets. The medicine they bought was the best edition. In fact, for people like them, there was no need to use the expensive hardcover version of the injury medicine. The ordinary version was enough. This was because these people did not need to leave no scars like women. Besides, if it was a new injury, there was no need to use the hardcover version of the injury medicine. The ordinary injury medicine would not leave any scars. Of course, Lin Yi didn't say this out loud. After all, the money was in Lin Yi's pocket. "You guys are really unlucky. You actually met a tiger?" Lin Yi said without batting an eyelid. "Yeah, we're unlucky. We're not local adventurers. We came from somewhere else. We're not familiar with the terrain here. Sigh, it's really unlucky. We came to gather herbs this year, but we met a tiger not long after. We even lost a team member. What a bad start." Biao, on the other hand, was very eager to talk to Lin Yi. After all, in the eyes of these adventurers, practitioners were unreachable existences. Even early-phase golden class masters were high above them. Usually when they met them, they would raise their heads high and ignore them. It was rare for Lin Yi, a practitioner, to say a few words to them. "If that's the case, what do you guys plan to do?" Linny nodded. He was happy. These people weren't local cultivators, so they were probably his compatriots. As long as they didn't have anything to do with Rueleda town, Lin E was relieved. What else can we do? Let's go down the mountain. I'm injured. The rest of us are also exhausted. If we stay here, we won't be able to deal with stronger beasts. Biao said with a bitter smile. If that's the case, that's perfect. I still have other things to do, but this friend of mine is going down the mountain. Let her go with you guys. We can look after each other. Lin E pretended to be deep in thought. Of course, Biao agreed without thinking, but we have to bury our partner first, then we can go down the mountain. Let me help you guys. Lin E was really afraid that they would carry a corpse down the mountain. If that happened, the number of people wouldn't be right. Usually, the families at the foot of the mountain wouldn't be strict, but now that the Tagan family was watching, even if it was an adventure team sent by other families, they would definitely check it secretly. That's great. Thank you so much, Biao said gratefully. For Lin E, digging a hole on the ground to bury a corpse was a piece of cake. Lin E casually used a branch and dug a hole. Biao and the other adventure team members buried their partner's corpse for adventurers like them, who lived everywhere. There was no such thing as returning to their roots. They would be buried where they died. After doing this, Lin E said goodbye to Biao and Sun Jingyi. As for the unnecessary words, Lin E didn't say it to him. The more he said, the more likely there would be problems. It was better not to say it. Otherwise, Biao would have a psychological burden and give himself away after sending off Sun Jingyi and Biao's group. Lin E found a place to hide temporarily and made plans. Lin E didn't intend to go down the mountain so early. At the very least, he would wait until Sun Jingyi safely left the Wulongheot mountain range. It would be best if he returned to the border town before Lin E went down the mountain. That way, Lin E wouldn't have any scruples. Even if he encountered a master, he could throw a trap and then run away. It shouldn't be a big problem. And so, Lin E sat on the ground and started channeling the art of dragon mastery, practicing. Biao brought Sun Jingyi and the members of the adventurer team down the mountain. However, they didn't expect that there would be sentries set up by a few big families and gangs at the exit of the mountain range. They were conducting strict checks on adventurers going up and down the mountain. Biao wasn't stupid. On the contrary, he was the leader of an adventure team, so he was naturally smarter. At this time, when he saw the situation, he subconsciously turned his head to look at Sun Jingyi. The appearance of Lin E and Sun Jingyi was too strange. It was also a little strange that Lin E, as a cultivator, helped them, a group of ordinary adventurers. Although they were in danger, why did Lin E act so righteously? And his attitude was very kind. Moreover, the most important thing was that Lin E and Sun Jingyi actually acted separately. He let Sun Jingyi follow his group down the mountain, but he himself didn't go down the mountain. Of course, if the checkpoint at the exit of the mountain range had not been set up, Biao wouldn't have thought of so many things on a deeper level. But now that he saw the people who were doing the checkpoint and thought of the strange things that happened before, Biao understood a little. Chapter 2285. Thinking of this, Biao slowed down his pace and quietly came to Sun Jingyi's side. He lowered his voice and asked, "Are the people at the exit looking for you?" Sun Jingyi was shocked. She didn't expect Biao to discover this. But now there was no need for Sun Jingyi to hide it. Since Biao had guessed it, it was useless for Sun Jingyi to hide it. She could only say, "Yes, but they don't know me." "That's good." Biao nodded and quickened his pace. He didn't say anything more. Since the people at the bottom didn't know Sun Jingyi, things would be easy. As long as Biao led his team members to accept the interrogation step by step and then go down the mountain, it would be fine. He wasn't prepared to betray Sun Jingyi. Firstly, Sun Jingyi's friend, Lin Yi, was their savior. Although Biao wasn't a gentleman, he wasn't a villain either. He wasn't willing to repay kindness with enmity. Secondly, if Sun Jingyi were to be recognized by the interrogators, wouldn't the whole team be in a good place? It was already good enough that Biao wasn't accused of harboring the enemy. At that time, the entire adventure team would be in trouble. So Biao wouldn't do such a stupid thing. The interrogation below seems to be very strict. Don't talk nonsense later. I'll handle it, Biao said to the others in the team. Yes, the others in the team were obviously very convinced of Biao as the captain. They didn't ask much and agreed directly. Biao nodded and led a team of people to the exit of the mountain after the team in front of him accepted the interrogation and left. What's your name? Which family arranged for you to go up the mountain? Why did you go up the mountain? The one who spoke was Lotzi. He knew Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi. Although he didn't see these two people in the team, he still asked with a cautious attitude. My name is Biao. I'm an adventurer from the border town. I paid through the Firewolf gang to go up the mountain to collect herbs. Biao said respectfully. Oh, Razy nodded and turned to look at one of the leaders of the Firewolf gang. Biao, a total of 8 people went up the mountain. 6 men and 2 women. The numbers match up. Let's go. The leader of the Firewolf gang looked at the information he had registered before and waved at Biao. Okay. Biao was relieved and nodded. Then he said to his team, let's go. However, just as Biao was about to leave with his men, a voice suddenly rang out. Wait! Biao's heart sank, but he still maintained his composure and turned his head around. He smiled and said, May I ask, what's the matter? It was Laz who'd spoken up, and he looked at Jingyi with a flash of surprise in his eyes. Biao, your teammate's not bad. Huh? How about spending a few days with our young master Tagan? Spirit pills and miraculous medicines can't do without you. Although Sun Jingyi had become a different person after wearing the 1,000 silk mask, she was still very beautiful after wearing the mask, perhaps because she was already beautiful. Laz knew that Tagan Long was in a bad mood these 2 days, so he wanted to find a pretty girl for him to play with. Biao's face changed slightly. He didn't expect that there would be new problems when he was about to leave. He didn't know how to answer, and was very anxious. Laz, are you going to break the rules? The leader of the Firewolf gang looked at Laz coldly. The Tagan family and the Red Conches were on good terms, and the Red Conches and the Firewolf gang were enemies. Naturally, they wouldn't give the Tagan family any face. Biao and his men went up the mountain using the Firewolf gang's route. If anything happened, who would go up the mountain using the Firewolf gang's route? The Oolong Hout mountain range was an important way for the few forces in Ruilita town to earn money. The leader of the Firewolf gang naturally wouldn't let Laz take Biao's men away. Humph, let's go. Lazi hesitated for a moment and waved his hand, indicating that Biao could bring his men away. Under such circumstances, he didn't want to become enemies with the Firewolf gang over such a small matter. It wasn't an important matter anyway. If they were to fight with the Firewolf gang, it wouldn't be appropriate to delay the important matter. Thank you. Biao cupped his fist at the leader of the Firewolf gang and breathed out in relief. If Sun Jingyi was really taken away, things wouldn't be fun. Biao's current behavior didn't raise any suspicions. After all, Laz was trying to force his teammates to stay, so it was reasonable for Biao to let out a sigh of relief. What Laz didn't expect was that he almost caught a big fish, but because of the Firewolf gang, his good fortune was ruined. If Jiang Wen knew that the leader of the Firewolf gang had done something like this, he would definitely be so angry that he would write a letter to the leader of the Firewolf gang to punish him. Pho. Biao let out a long sigh of relief after leaving the Oolong Hout mountain range and coming to a place with fewer people. He looked at Sun Jingyi with some hope in his eyes, but he didn't say it out loud. He only said to his teammates, "It seems like something happened in Ruilita town. We shouldn't stay here for long. Let's go back to the border town today." "No problem. We'll listen to you, Captain." His teammates nodded without hesitation. "My savior, where are you going? Are you going back to the border town with us? Or—" Biao called Sun Jingyi his savior. Although she didn't do anything because of Lin Yi, he didn't call her his savior for nothing. "I'll go back to the border town with you guys." Sun Jingyi didn't dare to stay here for long after escaping from death. She and Lin Yi had agreed to go back to the border town first and wait for Lin Yi there. As an adventurer who often traveled between Ruilita town and the border town, Biao naturally had his own way of crossing the border. He didn't need to contact a middleman like a local. Since they had decided to leave, they didn't delay any longer. They brought Sun Jingyi with them and prepared to cross the border through their own way. As for Lin Yi, although he was worried about Sun Jingyi's safety on the Oolong mountain range, he didn't act rashly. Instead, he quietly trained on the mountain. He had to make sure that Sun Jingyi left Ruilita town before he could go down the mountain. Otherwise, he might implicate Sun Jingyi. Of course, Lin Yi naturally didn't know that Sun Jingyi followed Biao and the others back to the border town. On the first day, they left the mountain. So Lin Yi stayed on the mountain for another 2 days before he was ready to go down. Chapter 2286. Of course, Lin Yi was only using this chi bomb as a precaution. He would only release it when he had no other choice. If there were too many people at the foot of the mountain, Lin Yi would rather waste an inescapable net than rashly use the chi bomb. This trick was too obvious. If someone didn't die and continued to investigate according to this trick, it was very likely that they would find out that the person who used this trick was Lin Yi. This could probably be found out as long as they inquired. However, if they only knew the appearance, it wouldn't be easy to find someone. Lin Yi guessed that this Tagan family's information channel wasn't particularly well informed. Otherwise, if they could find someone based on appearance, Faubert and Grandma Sun would have been found long ago. They wouldn't have to wait until now. Of course, even if Lin Yi used the chi bomb, Tagan family might not be able to find out that it was Lin Yi. It was just that this trick was too obvious. There were too many people who knew about it. At least many people from the hidden aristocratic families knew about it. Lin Yi didn't want to take the risk. Moreover, the Tagan family's backing was rather sinister. Lin Yi also didn't want to expose his big killer too early. Sure enough, when Lin Yi was about to reach the mountain's exit, he saw an adventure team being blocked at the exit to be interrogated. It was much stricter than when Lin Yi and the others went up the mountain. Lin Yi raised his head and glanced at those people one by one. He saw La Zi. It seemed that the Tagan family had really decided to block him and Sun Jingyi here. He didn't know if Sun Jingyi had safely descended the mountain. However, when Lin Yi's gaze swept past La Zi, it finally landed on a middle-aged man wearing a bagua robe not far away. Lin Yi was simply too familiar with this outfit. The Tagan family's great protector was also dressed like this. Moreover, Lin Yi could clearly see this person's strength at a glance. It was the peak of heaven rank initial stage. Another heaven rank expert wearing a bagua robe came. Lin Yi frowned. It seemed that the Tagan family had some goods. One heaven rank expert died, and another one appeared. Seeing this heaven rank expert, Lin Yi didn't go down the mountain for the time being. Instead, he hid his strength and calmly hid behind a thicket. He wasn't far from the mountain range's exit, but he was well aware of the situation at the exit. In fact, with Old 12's perception, he could completely sense Lin Yi's presence. Lin Yi was already within Old 12's perception range. However, the 12th brother didn't have Lin Yi's jade space. It was impossible for him to have an inexhaustible supply of true qi. Perception consumed a lot of energy. It was fine to perceive for a while, but if it was to be used up all the time, even a peak late-stage heaven stage master would faint from exhaustion. Moreover, the 12th brother's main purpose was to seal the mountain range's exit and block Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi here. There was no need for him to perceive the situation on the mountain range. Old Six was responsible for searching the mountain range. What was the point of him trying to perceive? This also made it convenient for Lin Yi. He didn't need to perceive Lin Yi. Lin Yi simply entered the jade space to cultivate and perceive them. During the day, the 12th brother didn't talk to anyone, but at night, Tagan Long secretly came to the temporary tent that the Tagan family had set up at the bottom of the Woolenhate mountain range. There was no news for a few days. Tagan Long was a little anxious, so he secretly came here. The 12th brother saw the arrival of Tagan Long and frowned slightly. "Why are you here? Didn't I tell you to keep a low profile at home for a while and not come out?" "I'm anxious too. Did you catch Zhang Naipeo and those two?" Tagan Long asked carefully. "What's there to be anxious about?" The 12th brother said, "These are troubled times. It's very dangerous. Those two are fine, but there's an old lunatic at the peak of the late stage of heaven rank who seems to be with them. Your master's great protector died at his hands. And you still dare to come out?" The 12th brother warned with a serious expression. "Ah, they have someone supporting them?" Tagan Long couldn't help but click his tongue. "Sky Class Peak Late Phase?" "That's right. And the Sky Class Peak Late Phase crazy old man has already left the mountain. I didn't stop him. I can't tell where he is right now. If you go out rashly and he sees you, be careful not to lose your life." The 12th brother nodded and scolded. "So you're saying that the Sky Class Peak Late Phase crazy old man isn't with those two?" Tagan Long immediately understood the crux of the matter. "That's right. That old man left, but those two haven't come down yet. Your 6th master has already gone up the mountain to find them. I've set up a blockade at the exit." The 12th brother said, "If there's nothing else, quickly go back and hide. If the Sky Class Peak Late Phase crazy old man comes, I won't be able to protect you. He's too capable and has the power to split mountains and seas. All right, but those two people had 2 spirit beast essence cores on them. 12th Martial Uncle, you must think of a way to get them for me." Tagan Long had actually been eyeing the 2 spirit beast essence cores this time. One had to know that this thing was very rare. Even as sect, that place didn't have any in stock. They did have ancient spirit beasts, but they couldn't just kill them and take out their inner cores, right? Tagan Long believed that if he dared to make such a request, his sect would kill him first. "So, you're thinking about the 2 spirit beast essence inner cores." The 12th brother nodded and understood Tagan Long's meaning. "Don't worry. I'll give it to you once you get it." Although the spirit beast essence inner core was a good thing, it couldn't compare to Tagan Long's importance. Having such a good thing for him to protect himself would make his sect less worried. "Thank you, 12th Master." Tagan Long was overjoyed and promptly said, "Okay, you can go back now. Hide at home and don't come out." The 12th brother waved his hand. "Yes, 12th Master. I'll take my leave then." Tagan Long bowed and left the tent before disappearing into the night with his followers. And their conversation reached Lin Yi's ears, which made Lin Yi sigh in relief. The heaven rank freak was fine and had escaped. It looked like the 12th brother didn't dare to stop him and just watched as the heaven rank freak ran away. This situation made Lin Yi feel a bit funny. Although the heaven rank freak had the power of a peak late phase heaven rank powerhouse, he still wasn't a match for an early phase heaven rank powerhouse. And the 12th brother was a peak early phase heaven rank powerhouse, yet he didn't dare to make a move. What would he think if he knew the truth? Chapter 2287. This was exactly what Linny wanted. It seemed that the death of the great protector was blamed on the heaven-ranked weirdo. Lin Yi didn't have to worry about them suspecting his chi bomb. They would also think that the crater at the top of the mountain was caused by the heaven-ranked weirdo and had nothing to do with Lin Yi, a small Earth-ranked middle phase. But this way, the chi bomb Lin Yi had compressed couldn't be exposed. Although it could kill the 12th brother, Linny would also be exposed. What Linny didn't expect was that the Tagan family was so capable. From what they said, there was another master on the mountain, and the 12th brother was called the 12th uncle, and the one on the mountain was called the 6th uncle. This meant that the one on the mountain was much stronger. Especially the number 12 made Lin Yi click his tongue. What kind of family was this? Even more powerful than the ancient sects with at least 12 heaven-ranked masters? How many heaven-ranked masters did the Ice Palace have? Who would have thought that in this remote Rayalite town there was such a family? This shocked Lin Yi, and he couldn't help but ponder. His level was still too low. Only by standing high could he see further. He was only a small Earth-ranked middle phase. Once upon a time, Earth-ranked masters were existences that Lin Yi looked up to. But now, it really wasn't much. It was just that things were often like this. With a different reference, the conclusion would naturally be different. Shaking his head, he temporarily put these thoughts aside. What made Lin Yi happy was that it seemed that Sun Jingyi had successfully escaped from these people's interrogation. From what the 12th brother said, he thought that Sun Jingyi was the same as him, still on the mountain. This also meant that Sun Jingyi had safely left, and Linny didn't have to worry anymore. Sun Jingyi had already been gone for 3 days. This was enough time to leave Rayalite Town and go to the border town. Moreover, Tagan Long and Old 12 did not mention anything about Sun Jingyi being captured, which meant that Sun Jingyi was really fine. However, what puzzled Lin Yi was that Tagan Dragon seemed to value the 2 spirit beast essence maidens very much. Lin Yi initially thought that this kind of thing was very common, but now it seemed that it was not the case. Even the Tagan family, which was rich in heaven rank experts, valued it so much. It was probably something very important, but what was the use of this thing? Lin Yi wanted to get more information, but Tagandragon didn't say much. He just mentioned it and left. It's time. Lin Yi stood up. At this time, there shouldn't be any adventurer teams going down the mountain. Moreover, the people at the exit of the mountain range had relaxed, so it was a good time for Lin Yi to escape. Of course, Lin Yi didn't expect to be able to hide from Old 12. It wasn't realistic to silently slip away from a heaven rank expert. He could only leave quickly and then lead him to another place to see if he should use the inescapable net or the true energy bomb. If there were many people, then he would use the inescapable net. If there were no people, then he would use the true energy bomb. I'll leave first, and then you take advantage of the chaos to slip away from the side. Follow me nearby, and meet up with me when the danger is over. Lin Yi told the Skybolt pig next to him. Gigi. The Skybolt pig nodded to show that he understood. After making a decision, Lin Yi didn't delay and directly jumped down the mountain range. In the darkness, Lin Yi's figure quickly swept past the checkpoint at the exit of the mountain range and flew towards a place not far away. Humph! A cold snort came from the Tagan family's temporary tent. The moment Lin Yi came down from the mountain, Old 12 felt it. He knew that the person he was waiting for had arrived. He jumped out and chased in the direction where Lin Yi escaped. Behind him, the 2nd and 3rd protectors also followed Old 12 and flew in the direction of Lin Yi. Lin Yi looked at the 5 people behind him and secretly cursed his bad luck. Among these 3 people, although only one was a heaven rank expert and the other 2 were only earth rank experts, Lin Yi wasn't sure that he could kill all 3 of them at once. After all, these 3 people were one in front, one in the middle, and one in the back. The distance between them was very wide, and they even had the intention to outflank him. This made Lin Yi very depressed. If one of them couldn't be killed, then Lin Yi's strength would be exposed. So Lin Yi didn't dare to act rashly. It seemed that he could only use the inescapable net. He hoped that this net could cover 2 people. If it only covered 1 person, Lin Yi really didn't have the confidence to escape. Feeling that the 3 people behind him were getting closer and closer, Lin Yi directly led them to a back alley, a place where it was easy to escape after using the inescapable net. Then he suddenly threw out his hand and shouted, "Inescapable net!" That inescapable net was aimed in Old 12's direction. That person was Lin Yi's archenemy, so it should be able to cover him. Sure enough, Old 12 was startled when he saw the net falling from the sky. He didn't know what it was and subconsciously wanted to dodge, but how could he dodge the inescapable net? It wasn't just him. Even the second protector, who was very close to him, was implicated. After the inescapable net fell, it directly covered Old 12 and the second protector, leaving them with no leeway to resist. Lin Yi had experienced this heaven's net firsthand, and he knew how powerful it was. Sky class masters were nothing in front of this heaven's net. No wonder the Sky class spider could use this heaven's net to capture even the Sky class fire lion. But thinking about the heaven stage fire lions and heaven stage spiders that disappeared for no reason, Lin Yi's chest felt suffocated, and he couldn't say anything about it. What is this thing? Old 12 raised his hand and pulled out a scimitar. This was his weapon. He wanted to use the scimitar to break the inescapable net in front of him. However, he had underestimated the inescapable net. He used the first style of an ordinary martial skill and poured his true chi into the scimitar. However, it was not able to break the inescapable net in the slightest. Instead, it made the inescapable net tighten even more. Originally, the third protector wanted to continue chasing after Lin Yi, but after seeing this strange scene, he had no choice but to stop and help because he didn't know what magic weapon Lin Yi was using. Although he was a member of the Tagan family and knew of the existence of the spider race, he didn't know what magic weapon the spider race used. Chapter 2288. His martial skill struck the inescapable net, but it was as if he was hitting cotton. There was no resistance at all, causing him to waste a lot of energy. Lin Yi had already run far away at this time. Although his divine sense could still sense what was happening behind him, his footsteps didn't stop. If he didn't run away now, then when? Lin Yi was also glad that the third protector didn't chase after him. Otherwise, with the third protector's strength at the peak late stage of Earth rank, it would be troublesome for Lin Yi to kill him. Lin Yi would have to lead him to a more remote place and use the true chi bomb to kill him. If it wasn't for the fact that Lin Yi was afraid that these 3 people wouldn't be able to be killed in one blow, he would have definitely thrown the true chi bomb at them while they were trapped in the inescapable net. After turning a corner, Lin Yi slowly turned the true chi bomb in his left hand back into true chi and returned it to his body. He also restrained the true chi fluctuations on his body. At this moment, Lin Yi was no different from a normal person. After walking a few more streets, Lin Yi arrived at a dark hiding place. He slightly stretched out his hand and waved. The Skybolt pig very obediently ran to Lin Yi's side. This little guy was very clever. Even if he lost Lin Yi, he could rely on Lin Yi's Firestream God Bomb and Spirit Beast Essence Niden to find Lin Yi. Phew. Lin Yi let out a long sigh. Things were going very smoothly. The Heaven Stage spider really didn't lie to him. Even Heaven Stage experts couldn't escape from this inescapable net. It might be very difficult to get rid of it. Lin Yi went down the mountain. At the exit of the Wulonghout mountain range, the remaining people of the Tagan family were also anxious. The 12th protector, the second protector, and the third protector all went to chase after Lin Yi. Although there were still 2 Earth Stage experts here, their strength was relatively low. On one hand, they couldn't help On the other hand, it was because Lin Yi went down the mountain, but Sun Jingyi didn't. They still had to block Sun Jingyi here to prevent Sun Jingyi from taking the opportunity to go down the mountain. La Zi, go back to the Tagan family immediately and inform young Master Tagan and the Patriarch. Tell them what happened here. The one who spoke was the fourth protector, and he instructed La Zi. Yes, La Zi quickly nodded and quickly boarded a Hummer. Then he drove it towards the direction of the Tagan family. However, La Zi's car didn't go far before it was targeted by someone. The person who targeted La Zi was naturally Lin Yi. La Zi didn't expect that Lin Yi would actually return to the vicinity of the Wulonghao mountain range. The most dangerous place was the safest place. After the 12th protector, the 2nd protector, and the 3rd protector broke free from the inescapable net, the first thing they would do would probably be to search for him in the whole town. Therefore, Lin Yi simply took a detour and returned to the vicinity of the Wulonghao mountain range. He was prepared to randomly grab someone to ask for the specific address of the Tagan family. Now that the experts of the Tagan family were all out, the interior must be very empty. At this time, if Lin Yi went to cause a ruckus and conveniently took care of Tagan Long, Lin Yi would naturally be very happy. He had long hated Tagan Long. If he could conveniently get rid of him before he left, why not? Lin Yi could also see that this Tagan Long seemed to be very important. Even the 12th brother was very concerned about him. If he died, the Tagan family would probably be in big trouble. Of course, although the Tagan family was very powerful, and Lin Yi could see that they had at least 12 heaven rank experts, these experts were definitely not in Rueleda town. If they were, the 12th brother wouldn't have told Tagan Long like that, and he wouldn't have been so careful. With 12 heaven rank experts, any kind of enemy could be dealt with. Therefore, it could be foreseen that the interior of the Tagan family was empty. It was just the right time for Lin Yi to cause a ruckus. Originally, Lin Yi was going to casually grab a member of the Tagan family or any other family to ask for the address of the Tagan family. However, after returning to the Wulonghao mountain range, he happened to see such a scene. Razi actually wanted to return to the Tagan family, so Lin Yi could just follow him. The Tagan family was located in an independent manor in Rueleda town. The manor occupied a very large area. It was surrounded by fertile fields and forests. There were no houses on the surrounding roads because this was the private territory of the Tagan family. Of course, if a family didn't have a certain level of strength, it would be impossible to live in such a place. There were no signs of human habitation in the surroundings. What if they were attacked by bad people? Only a family like the Tagan family that had countless practitioners would dare to do so. However, this place just happened to be a good place for Lin Yi. It was a good place to kill and rob without worrying about being seen by anyone. Razi drove the Hummer on the road in front of the manor. However, a person suddenly appeared on the originally empty road. This situation made Razi jump in fright. He almost thought that he had seen a ghost. After all, in the middle of the night, a person suddenly appeared in the middle of an originally empty road. Anyone would feel terrified. Fortunately, Razi could be considered a small leader of the Adventurers Guild. He was also a practitioner. At this time, when he saw someone come out, the horror only lasted for a moment. The next moment, he realized that the person who came was not friendly. However, Razi didn't plan to stop. He stepped on the accelerator and prepared to ram. Since someone was standing in the middle of the road and wanted to stop the car, then it definitely wasn't a good person. Razi didn't need to be polite at all. He just needed to step on the accelerator and ram over. If Lin Yi was still a golden class, he would naturally be afraid of the car crashing into him. However, Lin Yi was now a practitioner in the middle of Earth class. He had a powerful true chi to protect his body. Even if this car crashed into him, it wouldn't cause any harm to Lin Yi. On the contrary, If Lin Yi threw a punch, he could overturn the speeding car. First form of frenzy fist, Lin Yi waited for the moment when Raisy's car drove over and made his move. Just the first form of frenzy fist was enough. Raisy was a golden class master. Lin Yi was really afraid that this move would be too heavy and kill him. So this punch was mainly used to send the car flying. Boom. A loud sound. The speeding car suddenly flew into the air and flipped in the sky before landing heavily on the side. The four wheels were already facing the sky, spinning in the air. Lin Yi's punch was just right. Raisy's car didn't crash and die. Get out, Mr. Raisy. Lin Yi didn't give Raisy any time to recover. He forcefully opened the door and pulled Raisy out from the driver's seat. Chapter 2289. When he saw that the person in front of him was actually Lin Yi, his legs almost gave way, and he fell to the ground. You're Zhang Naipeo? La Zi looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. Why was this guy here to stop him? Wasn't he being chased by the 12th, 2nd, and 3rd protectors? How did he get away? Could it be that the 12th, 2nd, and 3rd protectors were already dead? At the thought, La Zi's face was full of fear. Lin Yi grabbed La Zi's collar and lifted him up like a chicken. With a kick, he kicked La Zi's car into the forest by the roadside. At least in the darkness of the night, one wouldn't be able to see that there was a car in the forest if one wasn't paying attention, although Lin Yi didn't think that there would be anyone else on this road. Nothing was absolute. Lin Yi was also afraid of accidents, so he took care of La Zi's car and hid in the forest with La Zi. He threw La Zi on the ground and stepped on his chest so that he couldn't move. What does a Tagan dragon need an essence core for? La Zi paused. He didn't think that Lin Yi would suddenly ask such a question. He thought that Lin Yi would ask about House Tagan's secrets, but he didn't expect him to ask about the essence core of a spirit beast. Wasn't the leap in his thinking a little too big? Hurry up and say it if you don't want to suffer. Lin Yi didn't have the patience to deal with La Zi. All right, spirit beast essence cores can be used to make essence necklaces. Don't you know that? La Zi was a little doubtful. This wasn't a secret. At least the big families in Realita knew about it, but no one made it except for House Tagan. Make essence necklaces? What's an essence necklace? What can it be used for? How do you make it? Lin Yi paused. He didn't think that the essence core of a spirit beast could be used like this. Essence necklace? You don't know either? La Zi was a little confused as to why Lin Yi didn't know anything, but he still explained. The essence necklace is a necklace that can increase attack and defense. It has a chance to increase attack and defense. What do you mean by probability? Lin Yi was shocked. There was actually such a thing? This was a good thing. I don't know about that. Larko shook his head. Because it's only a legend. I've never seen it before. It's just what everyone says. Lin Yi nodded. Lotzi didn't look like he was lying. Looking at his eyes, he was already scared out of his wits, so it was unlikely that he was lying. Moreover, from Lotzi's tone, this profound chi necklace didn't seem to be something particularly mysterious and confidential. Many people knew about it, so there was no need for him to hide it. Thus, Lin Yi continued to ask, "How do I make this necklace? I don't know about that. I heard that only the legendary blacksmiths can refine it, and they must have a way to refine it." La Zi said, "The legendary blacksmiths." Lin Yi coldly snorted. If it's only the legendary blacksmiths, then why is your Tagan family looking for this spirit beast essence, Naiden? And you don't hesitate to fight me? Do you think a normal person would fight for an illusory existence that only exists in the legends? All right, I'll say it. I heard that the Tagan family has a blacksmiths. Although he's only an Earth-rank blacksmiths, he just happens to have the way to refine this essence necklace. La Zi told the truth. He had only heard about it. As for whether there's such a blacksmiths, I don't know because I've never seen it before. I'm just a nobody, so I don't know much. Oh, then you can die now. Lin Yi said, Don't, Mr. Zhang. I'm just a nobody. It doesn't matter to you whether I die or not. Please don't kill me. Hearing that Lin Yi wanted to kill him, La Zi was so anxious that he almost cried. I have a 60-year-old mother who's already dead, and an unborn child who's crying piteously for food. Lin Yi was speechless towards La Zi's unique way of begging for mercy. However, this guy was honest and didn't lie. Mr. Zhang, I'm actually just an ordinary practitioner who wants to make a living. I have no other choice in the Tagan family. Please don't kill me. I beg you. Lotzi cried as he begged for mercy with snot and tears. If I don't kill you, what's the use of keeping you alive? Lin Yi faintly asked. Oh, right. Aren't you interested in that essence necklace? I can take you to the Tagan family and tell you where the family's library is. There's a detailed introduction and refining method of the essence necklace there. You can steal it. La Zi had an idea and said, Oh, you can take me there? After listening to La Zi's words, Lin Yi was a little interested. To be honest, Lin Yi really wanted to take a look at that essence necklace. That's right, I have an idea. La Zi heard that Lin Yi seemed to be very interested in that essence necklace, so he quickly nodded, as if he had grabbed onto a life-saving straw. I often go in and out of the Tagan family, so I'm very familiar with the Tagan family. With me leading the way, Mr. Zhang will have fewer detours. If that's the case, let's go. Lin Yi pondered for a moment, then nodded and agreed to La Zi's request. Lin Yi came to the Tagan family, mainly to get rid of the Tagan dragon. But after hearing La Zi mention this essence necklace, in Lin Yi's eyes, it was something more attractive than getting rid of the Tagan family. Although this trip to the Wulonghout mountain range was extremely dangerous, Lin Yi also gained a lot. If he could get the refining method of this essence necklace, it would be a pleasant surprise. Thank you, Mr. Zhang, for not killing me, La Zi said gratefully. However, you can be spared from death, but you can't escape punishment. As he spoke, Lin Yi took out silver needles and said to La Zi, I'm going to seal a few of your acupoints. This way, you won't be able to use your true energy for 2 hours. This is also my punishment for you, to prevent you from betraying me. When I'm applying the needles, don't use your true energy to resist. Yes. La Zi couldn't refuse, so he could only nod. Compared to death, being unable to use true energy for the time being sealed was already a better outcome. Therefore, without La Zi's resistance, Lin Yi sealed La Zi's acupoints and meridians so that he couldn't use true energy for 2 hours. Of course, if La Zi's strength was higher, he could use his true energy to break the seal on his acupoints. Chapter 2290. After Lin Yi subdued Razi, he didn't care about him. Instead, he went to the jungle and brought Razi's Hummer back to the road. This Hummer was very sturdy, and this Hummer was definitely custom-made by the Tagan family, so it was even more sturdy. Even though it was kicked away by Lin Yi, there was only a slight dent on the exterior. Other than that, there wasn't much damage. It could still be used. Get in the car, we're going to the Tagan family. Lin Yi ordered Razi. Yes, Mr. Zhang. Razi quickly ran over and got in the car. He started the car and drove towards the direction of the Tagan family. Go directly to the library later. Find out the refining method of the essence chi necklace first. Lin Yi ordered Razi. All right, Mr. Zhang. Razi quickly nodded. In his eyes, people like Lin Yi shouldn't be provoked, if possible. He was a person who was like a thorn. If you went against him, he would dare to kill anyone. At that time, didn't the 5th and 8th protectors become lonely ghosts? The death of the first protector was also related to him. Now, even the 12th protector, the 2nd protector, and the 3rd protector couldn't catch up with him. Even under such a heavy encirclement, he was still able to come here to intercept him. Naturally, this power wasn't something that Raisi could contend with. Therefore, Raisi sold out the Tagan family. He planned to run away after finishing this matter today. Anyway, Rielita town was a small power that wandered outside of a small country. No matter which country he went to, the Tagan family's hands couldn't reach that far. If he really couldn't do it, he would go to the border town. These years, Raisi was the actual person in charge of the Adventurers Guild that was controlled by the Tagan family. He had also gained a lot of benefits from it, finding a safe and peaceful place to enjoy life, and being a rich man was also a good choice. On the road of martial arts, he knew that he didn't have any great talent, so it was impossible for him to advance. Therefore, it was normal for him to retreat. Lin Yi didn't think that much. He was just using Raisi's familiarity with the Tagan family to make use of him. As for whether Raisi would stay or leave, it had nothing to do with Lin Yi. Is it okay if I sit in the car? Lin Yi asked. It's fine. The Tagan family is tight on the outside, but loose on the inside. All the experts have been sent out. At this time, the family only has an old ancestor who has been in seclusion all year round, Patriarch Tagango, and young Patriarch Tagon Long. Raisi had some understanding of the Tagan family. Lin Yi nodded. Even if Old 12 and the others had broken free from the trap, they would never have thought that Lin Yi would turn around and attack them instead of running away. Old 12 would never have thought that Lin Yi would be so daring. 12th brother had activated the heaven rank martial skill 10 times in a row and was a little exhausted. Only then did he barely manage to destroy the inescapable net. From this, one could see how tough this thing was. The first thing 12th brother did after escaping was not to chase after Lin Yi, because he knew that he definitely wouldn't be able to catch up. He could only search the entire city. However, he wasn't in a hurry. He wanted to first inform Old 6 that Lin Yi had gone down the mountain, but he was alone. There should be another person still on the mountain, so he should search as soon as possible. At this point, 12th brother had already guessed the plan of Lin Yi and the others, which was to go down the mountain one by one. Although he didn't know what benefits there were in doing this, it seemed to be the case. After releasing the flying spirit beasts, 12th brother waved his hand at second protector and third protector. Let's go. Follow me to search for that Zhang Naipeo. We must catch him today. A heaven rank expert's spiritual perception was very strong. When his divine sense spread out, all the cultivators nearby could be sensed. From 12th brother's point of view, if Lin Yi wanted to escape, he would definitely use his true chi. Moreover, he would always be on guard against an attack, so he would definitely circulate his inner chi. Although Lin Yi might hide in the dark, he could only hide for a while. When the sun rose, all the Tagan family's men would move out and search the entire city. Lin Yi would have nowhere to hide. At this moment, Lin Yi and Shiraz had already arrived at the entrance of the Tagan family's manor. The guards at the entrance glanced at Shiraz's car, and Shiraz, who was sitting in the driver's seat. They didn't stop them and directly let them pass. As for Lin Yi, who was sitting in the co-driver's seat, they simply ignored him. This kind of situation showed that there was either a problem with the Tagan family's management or they were too arrogant. They disdained to interrogate Lin Yi and felt that he wouldn't be able to stir up a storm by himself. In fact, both of Lin Yi's guesses were established. All these years, the Tagan family had always been the #1 power among the aristocratic families and gangs in Rielita town, who dared to cause trouble for the Tagan family. At least this guard had been working as a guard for several years and had never met an enemy who broke into the Tagan family, let alone someone who was brought into the family by the Tagan family themselves. See, I said it's fine. Shiraz smiled proudly. Lin Yi nodded and said, Don't delay. Go directly to the library pavilion. Okay. Shiraz thought of Lin Yi's purpose and immediately wanted to say something but stopped. What's wrong? Lin Yi turned his head to look at Shiraz and asked, This time, I betrayed the Tagan family. If I stay here, I will be suspected sooner or later. So after Mr. Zhang enters the library pavilion, can you let me go and let me leave? Shiraz hesitated for a moment and said, "What does it have to do with me whether you leave or not? I can't stop you either." Lin Yi said faintly. To be honest, he didn't have the intention to kill Shiraz. This was only a small character who was in the Tagan family for the sake of survival. Betraying the Tagan family to help Lin Yi was also for the sake of survival. Lin Yi didn't need to make things difficult for such a person. But the acupoints on my body haven't been opened. Shiraz smiled bitterly and said, "Without strength, I can't run far. Moreover, if I run, I'm afraid that it will attract the attention of the Tagan family. If I don't have vital energy, I won't be able to run fast. I'm afraid that I'll be caught and brought back. So that's how it is." Lin Yi nodded. "Since that's the case, then I'll tell you a trick. I guarantee that you can escape smoothly." "What trick? Mr. Zhang, please enlighten me," Shiraz quickly asked. "In a while, I'll enter the library pavilion. You find a dark place below the library pavilion and wait for me. I'll give a long whistle to warn you. After I whistle, it means that I've succeeded. You immediately drive out and inform those guards who are chasing me. Tell them that I ran into the Tagan family and stirred up a storm. Tell them to hurry back and support," Lin Yi said. Chapter 2291. You don't have to worry about my matters. After I give you a warning, I'll leave together with them. When you call them back, I'll already be gone. Luring the tiger away from the mountain is good for you, and similarly, it's also good for me, Lin Yi said. As for them wanting you to come back together, that's easy. Just say that you'll continue to inform those Tagan family people guarding the exit of the Wulenhate mountain range. All right, I understand. Lazi nodded. He wasn't a slow-witted person. Lin Yi immediately understood. It had to be said that Lin Yi's plan was good, pretending to be a messenger, and then escaping like a cicada, slipping out of its shell. Although this could also be considered as helping Lin Yi, when Old 12, Second Protector, and Third Protector returned, Lin Yi left and prepared to escape. Since that's the case, I'll unseal your acupoints. Lin Yi waited for Lazi to park the car before unsealing his acupoints. "Thank you, Mr. Zhang," Lazi said gratefully. "That's the library pavilion. Be careful, Mr. Zhang." Lin Yi waved his hand, pushed the door open, and got off the car. With a flash, he disappeared in the direction of the library pavilion, so fast as expected of a mid-earth rank expert. Lazi clicked his tongue. To be honest, the Tagan family's library pavilion wasn't very big. Although it was an independent two-story building, after entering, it could be seen that the space was big, and the bookshelves were few. Perhaps this was the common problem of these families. Their foundation wasn't as deep as those ancient sects and ancient families. Although this library pavilion was a lot bigger than the Hidden Han family, it wasn't as big as Lin Yi had expected. Seeing this, Lin Yi was a bit puzzled. What was the relationship between those heaven rank experts and the Tagan family? Previously, Lin Yi's thinking was a bit limited. He didn't have time to think about it in detail when he was in a dangerous situation. But now, after careful consideration, he had some doubts. How could the Tagan family control so many heaven stage experts? But from the looks of it now, these heaven rank experts didn't seem to belong to the Tagan family. Perhaps the Tagan family was just a vassal force to them. Just like the relationship between some hidden aristocratic families and ancient sections. Perhaps it was also because Tagan Long was a disciple of this great sect that these heaven rank experts took care of the Tagan family. That was because Lin Yi was a little disappointed after just a glance at the collection of books here. There was nothing too extraordinary. They were all some ordinary mental cultivation methods and martial techniques. Just from the names, one could tell that they were not top-notch mental cultivation methods and martial techniques. However, there were some things that could not be judged based on their names. It was just that Lin Yi was pressed for time this time, so he didn't have time to flip through them one by one. It was also impossible for him to take away all of these books. If he took away one Essence Necklace's refining method, the Tagan family probably wouldn't find out. But if he took too many, the Tagan family might go crazy and chase him back. The gains wouldn't make up for the losses. At this moment, the library pavilion was very quiet and empty. At this time, the Tagan family's disciples probably wouldn't come here. Lin Yi quickly flipped through the bookshelf to find the refining method for the Essence Necklace. There weren't many books in the library pavilion, so with Lin Yi's eyesight, his gaze quickly fell on a book on the top layer of the leftmost bookshelf, Essence Necklace Refining Method. It was this book. Lin Yi quickly took out this book and roughly flipped through it under the moonlight. The book was a thread-bound manuscript. The handwriting was very big and could be seen clearly under the moonlight. As expected, among the required materials, the first item was the essence Niden of a spirit beast. After confirming that this was what he was looking for, Lin Yi didn't look at it anymore and quickly put it into his pocket. Just as Lin Yi was about to leave the library pavilion to find Tagan Long, Lin Yi's footsteps suddenly stopped. He felt an inexplicable danger. A cultivator was walking towards the library pavilion. Judging from the true chi fluctuations on his body, he should be an early mystic class master. The purpose of Lin Yi's trip was to steal the book and then find Tagan Long. He didn't want to cause unnecessary trouble. If possible, it would be best not to become enemies with this person who came to the library pavilion. God knew what this early mystic class master was here for. If he was really entrusted by the head of the Tagan family, Tagan Gao, or some old ancestor who was in seclusion to come here, if Lin Yi killed him and didn't see anyone return, they would definitely come out to look for him. He wouldn't have time to find trouble with Tagan Long, so he could only run first. So the first thought that came to Lin Yi's mind was to hide. There were only 2 bookshelves in the library pavilion, but there were some wooden tables and chairs. It was probably for the convenience of reading, and under the table was just the right place for Lin Yi to hide. Footsteps came from outside the library pavilion. As expected, this person came to the library pavilion. Lin Yi's figure also took the opportunity to hide under the table. An early mystic class master was easy to kill for Lin Yi, but Lin Yi still wanted to kill Tagan Long naturally. He didn't want to cause any unnecessary trouble. He just waited for this guy to come to the library pavilion and take his things, then quickly leave. The light in the library pavilion was turned on, and the entire library pavilion was suddenly lit up. Previously, Lin Yi didn't turn on the light and completely relied on the moonlight and the perception in the space of the jade pendant to identify the books here. But this person obviously didn't need to do so. The person didn't expect that there was someone hiding in the library pavilion. After turning on the light, he swaggered to the shelf on the left of the bookshelf where Lin Yi was standing before. However, after searching a few times, he suddenly let out a and then muttered to himself strangely, "Didn't I say to put it here? Why is it gone?" Although Lin Yi was under the table, he was very concerned about the person's actions. Seeing him walk to the bookshelf where he was before, Lin Yi's heart slightly sank. He was afraid that this guy would notice that a book was missing. But what Lin Yi didn't expect was that this person would actually say such a thing. If Lin Yi's guess was right, then this person was probably looking for the Essence Chi necklace making method in his hand. He was looking for this book. Lin Yi frowned. Just as he was thinking of a solution, the person had already taken out the walkie-talkie and said, "Young Master Tagan, I'm in the library pavilion, but I don't see the book you want." "You don't see it? It's at the top of the bookshelf on the left. I placed it myself." Tagan Long's voice came from the walkie-talkie. "I've looked carefully, but there really isn't it," the person said with some hesitation. Chapter 2292. All right, "Young Master Tagan, I'll wait for you here," the person said respectfully. Lin Yi let out a sigh of relief. Lin Yi had wanted to kill the person in front of him and run away, but he didn't think that the person who had sent him to get the book would be Tagan Long. Moreover, after failing to get the book, Tagan Long actually wanted to come here personally. This made Lin Yi feel as if he had worn out iron shoes in fruitless searching, only to find it effortlessly. This guy really came to die on his own accord. Thinking of this, Lin Yi didn't have anything else to worry about. He climbed out from under the table, stood up, and walked behind the person. Lin Yi was an Earth-class mid-stage master, and his strength was much higher than the person who had come. He was also good at hiding his strength, so he came behind the person without a sound. The person didn't notice, but just as Lin Yi was about to kill the person without a sound, the person suddenly felt that something was wrong behind him. He suddenly turned around and saw Lin Yi behind him. He let out a cry of disbelief, his eyes filled with surprise, but he wasn't afraid. From his perspective, how could there be an enemy in the Tagan family? This was something that had never happened before. So, although the person who came was unfamiliar, he only thought that it was someone else who had sent him here to get the book. He was about to ask why there was no sound, like a ghost, when he felt a sudden pain in his chest. Immediately after, his body flew backwards and landed heavily on a bookshelf not far away, making a loud sound. The bookshelf also fell down, and the books on it scattered all over the floor, ambushing an early-stage mystic-class master, especially one who wasn't on guard, was naturally easy for Lin Yi, and so the man lost his life in an inexplicable way. He didn't even know how he died. Who was Lin Yi? How dare he kill someone here? After killing the person, Lin Yi turned around and hid at the door of the library. It wasn't a good place to hide because anyone who entered the library could see Lin Yi standing behind the door as soon as they turned around. But it was a good place for a sneak attack. Lin Yi didn't want to hide from Tagan Long, but he wanted to ambush him when he saw the shocking scene in the library. Tagan Long was an early-stage Earth-class master. Although this guy looked like a playboy, and his strength seemed to be piled up with elixirs, Lin Yi wouldn't underestimate him. Although there was a difference between early and middle-stage Earth-class, the difference wasn't particularly obvious. This difference could be made up for with superior martial arts and mental cultivation. Not long after Lin Yi hid, footsteps came from the door of the library again. It should be Tagan Long. Lin Yi had already sensed the strength of the person who came, early-stage Earth-class. Tagan Long didn't expect a tragedy to happen in the library, but as a practitioner, he was naturally sensitive to the smell of blood. When he reached the door, he still felt a trace of abnormality. His footsteps paused slightly, and he suddenly discovered the change in the library. The subordinate he had sent to help him get the book was now dead on the ground, and the bookshelf of the library was also smashed by his body. "Who is it?" Tagan Long subconsciously became alert and shouted. Lin Yi didn't think that this idiot Tagan Long would be so vigilant, noticing the problem before he even stepped into the library. Originally, Lin Yi wanted to ambush Tagan Long from behind after he entered the library, but it seemed impossible now. Lin Yi had to show himself. This was because Lin Yi was afraid that Tagan Long would turn around and go back to ask for help. When the other masters of the Tagan house came, Lin Yi wouldn't even be able to leave the library safely, let alone kill Tagan Long. "Master Tagan, how have you been?" With that thought, Lin Yi flashed and walked out from behind the door, standing in front of Tagan Long. "Zhang Nai Peo?" Tagan Long's eyes focused. "Why are you here?" "To kill you." As Lin Yi said this, he silently activated the third form of Frenzy Fist and struck towards Tagan Long. In the Tagan house, Lin Yi didn't want to cause too much of a commotion, and from Lin Yi's point of view, the third form of Frenzy Fist was equivalent to the fourth form of a normal technique, and it was enough to kill this idiot Tagan Longlin. He could also activate a higher-level technique, but he was afraid of causing too much of a commotion and attracting trouble. Especially since he couldn't use chi bombs, the sound of the explosion would be too loud, and even the elders in isolation would be shaken out. At that time, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to escape even if he wanted to. Tagan Long smiled coldly, as if he already knew that Lin Yi was going to attack. His body moved slightly to the side, and he easily dodged Lin Yi's third form, a frenzy fist. He came not far from Lin Yi and suddenly raised his hands. A strange light flashed on his palms. 5 elements Bagua, palm first form. First form? Tagan Long was only an early Earth class expert, and he could only activate the first form. Lin Yi wasn't surprised. What surprised him was that his frenzy fist had been easily dodged by Tagan Long. This Qigong made Lin Yi admire Lin Yi. This kid's life-saving methods were quite powerful. However, when Tagan Long's palms pushed towards Lin Yi was shocked, and the jade pendant on his chest actually sent out a strong warning signal. In the past, when he fought with an enemy, the jade pendant would also send out a warning, but such a strong warning only appeared when he was fighting with the 5th Protector and the Great Protector. But now, it appeared in the battle between him and Tagan Long. This made Lin Yi shocked and horrified. The aura was very strong and strange. Tagan Long's seemingly calm palms had an indescribable power. Even Lin Yi couldn't tell the attribute of Tagan Long's mantra. Was it fire or water? Or wood? Metal? Earth? The palms with the strange light slammed towards Lin Yi's chest. Lin Yi didn't dare to take it head-on, but the arrow on the bow had to be fired. Lin Yi had no choice but to use his strongest technique. Frenzy fist, 5th form. Boom, boom. Lin Yi's fists met Tagan Long's palms. The next moment, Lin Yi felt an earth-shattering force coming from Tagan Long's palms. Lin Yi was forced to take 2 steps back, but Tagan Long didn't seem to have an advantage. He was hit by Lin Yi's frenzy fist and quickly took a few steps back, his face slightly pale. Chapter 2293. This Tagan dragon only had the strength of an early Earth-class warrior. The gap between them was obvious, but he actually managed to clash head-on with him. In Lin Yi's eyes, Tagan Dragon was just an idiot, an early Earth-class warrior who used elixirs to build his strength. However, Lin Yi did not expect Tagan Dragon to be able to use such an overbearing martial technique, whether it was his combat ability or reaction speed. They were far beyond Lin Yi's expectations. However, even if the two of them were evenly matched in this move, Lin Yi's face was still very ugly. Although he did not lose, he had actually lost. This was because Lin Yi had used the 5th form of Frenzy Fist, while Tagan Dragon had used the first form of some 8 trigrams palm. The first form against the 5th form, and Lin Yi was only evenly matched. If this was not a loss, then what was? Moreover, Lin Yi's strength was much higher than Tagan Dragon's. This guy was the one who was really fighting above his level, pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. When they were in the Wulonghout Mountains, this kid had the appearance of an idiot, not revealing anything. In the end, he actually had such a powerful strength. As the saying goes, once an expert makes a move, you can tell whether he's real or not. As soon as Tagan Dragon made a move, Lin Yi knew that this guy was not an idiot, but a real expert. He was very strong. This was Lin Yi's evaluation of Tagan Dragon. This guy had hidden his strength too well. If it was not for Lin Yi personally making a move, Tagan Dragon would have even fooled Lin Yi's eyes. Tagan Dragon actually did not want to reveal his strength. If it was not a critical moment of life and death, Tagan Dragon would definitely not make a move against Lin Yi. If there was an expert beside him, Tagan Dragon would definitely let the expert do it, and he himself would pretend to be afraid. However, there was no expert beside him now, so he had no choice but to make a move. This was a battle of life and death, so he could not go easy on Lin Yi. Lin Yi was secretly anxious. If he had known that Dragon was an expert, then he would have thought twice about his plan. It would be great to kill Dragon, but what if Dragon was a tough bone to chew? Even if he killed them, he would have to pay a huge price. That was not what Lin Yi wanted to see. If he had known this earlier, Lin Yi might have chosen to leave immediately after stealing the book collection. Even if he went to find trouble with Dragon, he would not have acted so rashly. He would have compressed an energy bomb in his hand to achieve his goal of killing Dragon. But now it was too late. Lin Yi did not have much time to think. He once again used the fifth form of Frenzy Fist, aiming straight for Taganlong's chest. Humph! Taganlong snorted coldly and said, "I underestimated you. I didn't expect you to be so strong." The second style of the 5 elements 8 trigrams palm. Take this. With that, Taganlong didn't dodge. He raised his palms and pushed out towards Lin Yi's fists. An even greater power than before surged towards him, causing Lin Yi's heart to skip a beat. How could this Dragon be so powerful? Could it be that he was holding back just now? From what he said, it seemed like he did not use his full strength just now. Now, he was facing Lin Yi squarely. This feeling of being looked down upon made Lin Yi very unhappy. It was just like what he had said in the past when he faced an enemy a level higher than him. The thrill of fighting an enemy a level higher than himself was now non-existent in front of Dragon. This was a strong opponent. Lin Yi realized that he had underestimated his opponent too much. He really should not have been fooled by Dragon's appearance. Boom, boom. Another 2 loud sounds rang out. But this time, although Dragon still took a few steps back, Lin Yi's body was directly sent flying. The second form. It was just the second form of a martial arts technique, but it was already so powerful. Lin Yi secretly complained in his heart. This Dragon's master was powerful, and so was his disciple. No wonder those Bagua Pao people valued Dragon so much. It turned out that this guy was really capable. Humph! Again, Lin Yi spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. He got up, wiped the blood off his mouth with his sleeve, and said coldly, "Since you don't care about life and death, I'll send you on your way." Dragon looked at Lin Yi coldly. In his eyes, Lin Yi was already a dead man. "Now that you know my secret, I can't let you leave here alive, no matter who you are or where you come from." Sure enough, Dragon had always been pretending to be a playboy and tolerating it. Lin Yi secretly thought that this guy was very scheming, but his hands did not stop. He directly struck out with the 5th form of Frenzy Fist. However, this time, it was not just the 5th form of Frenzy Fist, but the 5th form of Frenzy Fist combined with the Fire Stream Divine Bullets. It was equivalent to the 11th form of an ordinary martial arts technique. Frenzy Fist. Lin Yi once again used the 5th form of Frenzy Fist like a moth flying into a flame and hit Dragon. Dragon, on the other hand, took a deep breath and pushed out his palms again. 5 elements 8 trigrams palm, 3rd form. "You can die now." Dragon shouted coldly, "You can force me to use my strongest martial arts technique. It's not easy. It's a worthy death. The 3rd form? An early Earth-class martial artist could use the 3rd form?" Lin Yi's eyes narrowed. Could it be that this Dragon was a genius like him? Lin Yi could use the 3rd form of Frenzy Fist when he was in the early Earth class, but Dragon could do it too. Moreover, Lin Yi clearly felt that Dragon's 5 elements 8 trigrams palm was especially powerful, much stronger than ordinary Earth-class martial arts techniques. Lin Yi's Frenzy Fist was already considered a very superior martial arts technique, but compared to Dragon's 5 elements 8 trigrams palm, it was still lacking. This gave Lin Yi the urge to secretly learn from Tagan Dragon. What would happen if he mastered this 5 elements, 8 trigrams palm? Of course, Lin Yi was just thinking about it. This martial arts technique would not be placed in the library. Moreover, Lin Yi was not in the mood to continue fighting. If he did not quickly resolve the matter in front of him and attract the old ancestor, Tagan Dragon's grandfather, 2nd protector, 3rd protector, and 12th brother, then Lin Yi would not be able to escape today. Although martial arts techniques were good, one needed to be alive to practice them. Moreover, Lin Yi was not in a hurry to learn this martial arts technique. While there was life, there was hope. There would always be a chance to secretly learn it in the future. Boom, boom. Lin Yi's fist smashed onto Tagan Dragon's palms. Tagan Dragon's face suddenly changed from shock to pale, and then red. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Tagan Dragon was sent flying by Lin Yi, and blood spurted from his mouth. It was obvious that he had suffered a very serious internal injury. Chapter 2294. However, after saying this, Tagan Long's vision turned black, and he fainted. He was indeed very powerful and could fight enemies of a higher rank, but no matter how powerful he was, he couldn't withstand the power of Lin Yi's frenzied Fire Fist 5th style and Firestream Deity Bullet. It had to be known that when the Great Guardian was hit by Lin Yi's move, his chi and blood were in turmoil, and he was almost injured, let alone Tagan Long. Lin Yi let out a long howl, warning La Zi, while he himself quickly ran away into the distance. Lin Yi wanted to give Tagan Long another punch to end his life, but Lin Yi felt danger, an incomparably powerful danger. His battle with Tagan Long must have attracted an expert from the Tagan family. Was it Tagan Gao or the Tagan ancestor who was in seclusion? But no matter who it was, Lin Yi was not an opponent, so the only thing Lin Yi could do was run for his life. At this moment, time was of the essence. Even a few tenths of a second might cause him to lose the opportunity to escape, so Lin Yi simply ignored Tagan Long and ran. As it turned out, Lin Yi was right. Just as Lin Yi's figure disappeared, another figure appeared where Lin Yi and Tagan Long were fighting. He was the Heaven Realm ancestor of the Tagan family, who had been in seclusion all year round, Tagan Gon. Tagan Gon was an expert at the peak of the middle stage of Heaven rank. He had been in seclusion all year round to reach the late stage of Heaven rank. However, he felt that there was a battle in the Tagan family tonight. The mental perception of a Heaven rank expert was very strong, so he felt that something was wrong and hurriedly rushed towards the direction of the battle. My great-grandson Tagan Gon arrived at the scene and was shocked to see the unconscious Tagan Long covered in blood lying on the ground. Although he knew that the murderer had escaped, he didn't dare to chase after him. He was concerned about Tagan Long's situation and hurriedly bent down to Tagan Long's side. How are you? Tagangan picked up Tagan Dragon and placed his hand on Tagan Dragon's meridians in grief and indignation. After placing his hand on Tagan Dragon's meridians, he discovered that Tagan Dragon's meridians were in a mess. It was obvious that Tagan Dragon had suffered serious internal injuries. Tagan Long, on the other hand, was unconscious and unable to speak. La Zi didn't expect Lin Yi and Tagan Long to fight. He cursed his bad luck. Usually, there would be no one in the library at this time, but today, 2 people had come. Even Tagan Long had come in person. This was going to be troublesome. Of course, what Shiraz didn't know was that even if Tagan Dragon didn't come, Lin Yi would still find trouble with him. Tagan Dragon coming here was just to make it easier for Lin Yi to make a move on him. Razi wanted to escape at this time, but he didn't dare to. If he left now, wouldn't it make Tagangan suspicious? Who's there? Razi didn't expect that even though he didn't run away, he would still be discovered by Tagangan. Tagangan's eyes were like torches as he looked in the direction of Razi. Ancestor, it's me. I'm Razy. I'm here to report to young Master Tag on Long. I didn't expect to see such a scene. I was scared silly. Razy was not stupid. He quickly thought of a countermeasure and walked over with a pale face. Razy? Tegangan pondered for a moment and nodded. I know you. You're the person in charge of our adventurer guild. Ah, Ancestor still remembers me? It's an honor. Razy quickly put on a happy expression. What message do you want to report? Tegangan waved his hand and asked. Although he was anxious, he knew that he couldn't save Tagandragon. He only hoped that the Great Guardian would get the news and come as soon as possible. What happened? Father, why are you here? Tagandragon? What happened to him? The person who came was Tagandragon's grandfather, Tegango. He heard the commotion here, so he ran over and found Tagandragon in Tegangan's arms. Tagandragon was injured. Tegangan said, quickly ask the Great Guardian to come and treat him. Great Guardian? Tegango was stunned. Only then did he remember that his father had been in seclusion all this time. He didn't know what happened at home. Tegango was afraid of disturbing his seclusion, so he naturally didn't tell him that the Great Guardian was dead. At this time, he could only smile bitterly. The Great Guardian is dead. Father, I'll explain this to you later. Tagandragon's injury cannot be delayed. Patriarch, Ancestor, I'll go and inform Mr. 6 and Mr. 12 of the Great Guardian and ask them to help. Razy finally found a good reason to get away. Chapter 2295. This way, the second and third protectors, as well as Old 12, would definitely rush back to Tagan House. There was no way they would look for Lin E anymore, and Lazi would be able to escape as well. Otherwise, if they left people to search the area and Lazi was caught, he'd probably lose his head if they found out that he was the one who lured Lin E here. What? Tagandragon is injured? The second protector was shocked after hearing Lazi's words. We'll go back immediately. All right. Lazi hung up the phone and headed straight for the border town. He had to escape through the night. As for luggage, he didn't need it. He had an account in a Swiss bank, and as long as he had money, everything would be fine. When the second protector answered the phone, the third protector and Old 12 were listening on the side. When they heard that Tagandragon was injured by Zhang Naipeo, their faces darkened. This Zhang Naipeo, he's trying to lure us away. The third protector said hatefully. We all thought that he was going to escape, so we searched the streets for him, but we didn't expect him to come back to Tagan House and injure Tagandragon. This kid really dared to do it. Old 12 frowned, but I know Tagandragon's strength. That Zhang Naipeo is only an Earth-class mid-phase, and Tagandragon should be on par with him. How did he get injured? Who knows? Also, how did Zhang Naipeo know where Tagan House is, and how did he find Tagandragon? The second protector was confused as well. Let's not care about this. Let's go back and take a look. Old 12 was worried about Tagandragon's safety. Although this person was a disciple of Tagan House, Old 12 was even more worried about him, because that place, which was his sect, had high hopes for Tagandragon. If anything happened to Tagandragon, it would affect the entire plan. At this time, Lin Yi had already left for a long time. With Lin Yi's speed, even if Old 12 and the second and third protectors rushed back, they wouldn't be able to meet him. At this moment, Lin Yi had already left Ruele town with the Skybolt pig, using the river to go back to the border town in the Tagan family's manor. 12th brother saw the Tagandragon in Tagangon's arms and took it. He placed his hand on Tagandragon's pulse and immediately frowned. The pulse was chaotic, the chi was chaotic, and many meridians were broken. In such a situation, ordinary minor reversion pills and meridian unblocking pills were no longer of any use. The pills that Old 12 had on him could no longer save Tagon Long. His face turned very ugly as he hated Naipeo to the core. Where did this bastard come from? He had actually played the trick of luring the tiger away from the mountain, running back to the Taggin family, and injuring the Taggin dragon. It would have been fine if he had injured someone else, but the key was the Taggin dragon. What's going on? Old 12 asked with a gloomy face. I don't know either. Taggin was a little embarrassed. He really couldn't answer Old 12's question. When he came here, Tagon Long had already been injured by Lin E, and the murderer had run away. He didn't even see the murderer's appearance. When I was in seclusion, I felt a strong wave of vital energy. It seemed like someone was fighting inside the Tagon Long family. After I confirmed it, I ran out, but I was still a step too late. I'll inform Six's senior brother to bring Tagon Long back to the sect immediately. If there's any delay, I'm afraid it might be too late. 12 didn't get an answer, and he didn't want to keep asking. Even if he knew why Naipeo was here, it didn't matter anymore. The most important thing right now was how to heal the Taggin dragon. With that said, Old 12 took out a piece of paper and wrote down the situation here. He then tied it to the spirit beast's leg and let it fly out. After doing all this, Old 12 used his hand to hold the Taggin dragon's pulse and channeled some essential chi into it, temporarily keeping the Taggin dragon alive. Fortunately, Taggin dragon's physique was rather special. Old 12 was also his martial uncle, and the mental cultivation method he cultivated was also one of Taggin dragon's. Therefore, Taggin dragon's body did not reject essential chi. However, Old 12's essential chi did not have the effect of healing and could only maintain his life. Six had been looking for Sun Jingyi on the mountain, and he didn't expect to get another one right after receiving a report from a flying spirit beast. Could it be that Sun Jingyi had come down as well? After taking a look at the note on the spirit bird's leg, Old Six's expression instantly became extremely unpleasant. Taggin dragon was injured. Zhang Naipeo didn't run after coming down the mountain, but went inside the Taggin family and injured Taggin dragon? Six was dazed as he read the contents of the note. How was this possible? This Zhang Naipeo was too bold, wasn't he? Zhang Naipeo, if anything happens to Taggin dragon, Master will definitely wipe out your entire family, Six said hatefully. He didn't care about looking for Sun Jingyi anymore, and flew down the mountain as fast as he could, heading towards the Taggin family. In the Taggin family, when the sixth brother saw the Taggin dragon beside the 12th brother, he was a little shocked. Just from looking at the injuries with the naked eye, it was already very serious. It was more serious than he had imagined. Sixth brother, you're back. Let's go back to the sect immediately and bring Taggin dragon to see Master. His injury is very serious, and only Master might have a way. 12 said quickly after seeing Six. All right. Six nodded, but he was a little hesitant. Are we not going to look for that treasure and Zhang Naipeo and the others? These don't seem to be as important as Taggin dragon. If something happens to Taggin dragon and ruin Master's plan, then you and I will be sinners. 12 said, That's true. Then let's go back tonight. Six said, Tagangan and Tagango didn't want Old Six and Old 12 to leave. If they left, the strength of the Tagangan family would plummet. Now that the Great Protector was dead, if Old Six and Old 12 also left, then the most powerful person in the Tagangan family would be Old Ancestor Tagangan. He couldn't cultivate in seclusion anymore and could only come out to oversee the family. This was not what he wanted. But they also knew that they couldn't stop them, and they were more worried about Taggin dragon's injury. So Taggin Gao said decisively, Men, prepare a car and send Mr. Six and Mr. 12 away. No need. A car is too slow. Six waved his hand. He and 12 were both Sky class masters, and going at full speed was much faster than a car. They could also take shortcuts, and they didn't have to use the road. Chapter 2296. All right, don't be sad. To that place is more important than our family. They will definitely think of a way. Tegangan said comfortingly, today's matter ends here. Don't mention it to anyone else. Just say that Tagonlong is facing the wall and reflecting on his mistakes because of the fire lion. Yes, father. Tegango thought about it. That was indeed the case. Looking at old Six and old 12's anxious looks, it was obvious that they were more concerned about Tagonlong's safety. By the way, where did that guy go? Why isn't he back yet? Tegangan suddenly thought of Razy. Didn't this guy go to find old 12 and the others? Why hasn't Lotzi come back when 12th brother is back? Yeah, Lotzi should know more than us. What about this kid? Tegango was also stunned. He turned to look at the second and third protectors and asked, did Lazio not come back with you? Lotzi? No, Lotzi just called to tell us that Tagonlong was injured by Naipeo. Isn't he at home? The second guard said curiously, what? Call him? Isn't there no signal in the Wulong-Heot Mountains? Tagon heard this and immediately felt that something was amiss. Wulong-Heot Mountains? We weren't in Wulong-Heot Mountains. Zhang Naipeo left the mountains earlier, and me, third, and Mr. 12 were chasing him, so we were able to get through. The second guard frowned. Not good. Call Razy immediately and ask him where he is. Tegango felt that something was wrong. All right. The second guardian quickly picked up the phone and dialed Lotzi's number, but there was a notification that the phone was turned off. The second guardian's expression suddenly changed. It's switched off. There's definitely something wrong with this guy. Tagongon's face changed as well. He hadn't seen the enemy before, but Lazi had, and knew that it was Naipeo's doing. If this guy was innocent, then why would Linny let him live? Or rather, Razy had long discovered that Lin, E, and Tagon Dragon were fighting. Why didn't he warn his family beforehand? Investigate. Find Chirazzi's 18 generations of ancestors and bring him back. Tagon Gao's expression wasn't good either. He was in charge of the Tagon family's affairs. He was the patriarch of the Tagon family. Although he didn't have the authority to speak on the Tagon dragon's cultivation and other important matters, he was still in charge of these businesses. Shiraz was also considered to be working for him. How could he not be angry when there was a problem? However, since Shiraz dared to leave, he was naturally not afraid of being investigated. His identity was fake, including the name Shiraz, which he casually came up with while reading a web novel. No matter how powerful the Tagon family was in Riolita town, Shiraz had escaped to the border town. The Tagon family couldn't do anything to him once he left Riolita town. Although Lin Yi's injuries weren't particularly serious, they weren't light either. The Tagon Dragon's martial technique was really powerful beyond Lin Yi's imagination. After arriving at the border town, Lin Yi quickly returned to the inn he had stayed at. This was the place he had agreed to meet Sun Jingyi. Meanwhile, Lin Yi dialed Sun Jingyi's number at the entrance of the inn. Lin Yi. Sun Jingyi quickly picked up the phone. She was pleasantly surprised. She had been worried about Lin Yi's situation, but she didn't dare to call casually for fear of affecting Lin Yi. Therefore, after she returned to the inn, she was on tenterhooks every day and couldn't sleep well at night. It's me. I'm back at the border town. Where are you? Lin Yi asked. I'm at the inn we agreed on previously. Room 302. What about you? Sun Jingyi heaved a sigh of relief when she heard that Lin Yi was fine. I'm near the inn. I'll head up right away. Lin Yi didn't say much and hung up the phone. After entering the inn, Lin Yi told the innkeeper the room number and went upstairs. He came to the door of room 302 and knocked on it. Who is it? Although Sun Jingyi knew that it might be Lin Yi, she still asked very carefully. After all, she wasn't a cultivator. She had to be cautious when someone knocked on the door in the middle of the night. It's me, Lin Yi said. Sun Jingyi quickly opened the door and saw Lin Yi's pale face. Although Lin Yi looked normal on the surface, Sun Jingyi could feel that Lin Yi should be very weak. "Are you hurt?" "And I'm hurt. I need to heal." Lin Yi nodded. Sun Jingyi let Lin Yi enter the room and locked the door. Then she said, "Do you need me to do anything? Just give me a wet towel to wipe my face." As Lin Yi said this, he sat cross-legged on the bed and began to use the second stage of the art of dragon mastery to heal himself. A huge amount of qi flowed continuously from the space in the jade into Lin Yi's meridians, healing Lin Yi's injured body. Lin Yi suddenly felt relaxed, but his heart was filled with shock and fear. Fortunately, Tagan Long was only an Earth-class early-stage master. If his strength was a little higher, the one who would be seriously injured today would probably be him. Although he had the intention to escape, and should be able to escape in the end, it would definitely not be so easy. Sun Jingyi went to the bathroom to get a towel, wet it, and came back to pass it to Lin Yi. However, she saw that Lin Yi was already sitting cross-legged on the bed and began to heal, so she didn't disturb Lin Yi. Instead, she personally took the towel and wiped his face, looking at Lin Yi's pale face. Sun Jingyi felt a strange feeling in her heart. Gratitude? Or guilt? Or something else? From Sun Jingyi's point of view, Lin Yi must have been injured so badly because of her. She used the 1,000 Silk Mask and successfully evaded the Tagan family's investigation, but Lin Yi had to force his way down. The Tagan family was full of experts, and Lin Yi was able to escape unscathed. Although it was a blessing and misfortune, Sun Jingyi still felt that she had let Lin Yi down. In the beginning, saying that Lin Yi was her lover was more or less using Lin Yi. However, after the two became familiar and closer, this lover became a joke. Now, Sun Jingyi had the urge to really become Lin Yi's lover, a man who could do so much for her, even if it was from a friend's point of view, made Sun Jingyi very touched. No one had ever done this much for Sun Jingyi since she was a kid. Chapter 2297. Unfortunately, Sun Jingyi couldn't have him completely, not to mention Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao. Even Meng Yao, Yu Shu, and Ling Shan were people that Sun Jingyi could chase away. So, Sun Jingyi was troubled when she thought about it. Lin Yi saw Sun Jingyi walk over. He wanted to take the towel himself, but he didn't think that Sun Jingyi would actually help him wipe his face. This surprised Lin Yi, but he still enjoyed it silently. After all, Lin Yi was healing right now, and he didn't want to stop halfway. After wiping Lin Yi's face carefully, Sun Jingyi helped Lin Yi wipe his hands. Then she put down the towel and sat not far from Lin Yi. She waited quietly for Lin Yi, looking at Lin Yi, waiting for him to finish healing. Skybolt Pig laid quietly on the side and quickly fell asleep. He knew that Lin Yi's injuries weren't serious this time, and he didn't need to do anything. He was tired, so naturally he slept first. House Tagan's attention was on Lotzi. As for Lin Yi, this Zhang Naipeo, they didn't look for him, and they didn't dare to look for him. Who knew if Lin Yi had met up with that crazy Sky-class old man? The main guard was killed by them, and Tagan Gon didn't have the confidence to take care of Lin Yi. He could only give up, but even if he didn't want to give up, he couldn't leave Ruilita town and go to the border town. So Lin Yi was very safe here, and he spent the night peacefully. On the second day, when the sun shone in the sky, Lin Yi opened his eyes. Sun Jingyi, who had been waiting on the side, was immediately happy. Lin Yi, are you all right? Well, I'm fine. Thank you for staying with me the whole night. Lin Yi was healing himself, but he could see everything that was going on outside of his body. Jingyi had been watching him the whole time after wiping his face and hands, and Lin Yi was a little touched by this. You know everything? Sun Jingyi suddenly blushed. She didn't expect her behavior to be discovered by Lin Yi. She just wanted to watch Lin Yi silently. How far could she go with Lin Yi? Sun Jingyi didn't think about it, but now that Lin Yi said it out loud, she felt a little embarrassed. Take a nap. I reckon you haven't been sleeping well these days. If it weren't for the fact that you're a cultivator, you would probably have dark circles under your eyes. Lin Yi didn't continue this topic. He could more or less guess Sun Jingyi's thoughts, but for this kind of thing, Lin Yi wanted to let nature take its course and not deliberately force anything. Well, then I'm going to sleep. Sun Jingyi was a little embarrassed, and Lin Yi mentioned it again. She really felt a little sleepy, so she nodded and fell on the opposite bed. I'm going to sleep. Wake me up when it's time to eat. By the way, the 1,000 silk mask and the inescapable net are in my bag. You can take them back. After returning to the border town and separating from Biao and the rest, Sun Jingyi returned to her original appearance. Go to sleep. Lin Yi relaxed. There were a lot of things to sort out, such as the harvest from the Wulonghao mountain range and the strange martial arts of Tag and Dragon. There were a lot of things that he had to ask Jiao Lao. Sun Jingyi was really sleepy, so she fell asleep after falling on the bed for a while. Meanwhile, Lin Yi began to sort out the harvest from this trip to the Wulonghao mountain range. An inexplicable white energy stone, 2 spirit chi inner elixirs of spirit beasts, the remaining 2 inescapable net, a secret manual on the refining method of the spirit chi necklace, and 1,000 silk mask. Unfortunately, he had used up 3 Firestream God bombs and wasted one of the inescapable net. However, the remaining things were still quite a bountiful harvest. Picking up the secret manual on the refining method of the spirit chi necklace, Lin Yi couldn't wait to flip through it. This secret manual was stolen from the Tagan family by Lin Yi at the risk of his life. It was also one of the things that Lin Yi was most interested in. The Tagan family was an ordinary and small family that was full of mysteries. Not only did they have an outstanding younger generation like Tagan Long, but they also had experts like the Great Guardian, 6th brother, and 12th brother. What surprised Lin the most was that they actually knew the use of the spirit beast inner elixir. This thing was something that Jiao Lao, Faubert, and even the Thunder Pig and the purple electric tempest beast didn't know. Yet they actually knew, and even knew, the refining method of the spirit chi inner elixir. This was simply unbelievable to Lin Yi. Wasn't the Tagan family's foundation a little too solid? No wonder the people behind them could annihilate an ancient sect like Faubert. Even if Faubert's sect was a second-rate or third-rate ancient sect, to be able to annihilate it so easily was not something that an ordinary sect could do. Shaking his head, Lin Yi put these thoughts aside for the time being. He took out the book on how to make a profound chi necklace and carefully flipped through it. This was what Lin Yi felt was the biggest gain from this trip. If he could make a profound chi necklace, it would definitely be a top-notch treasure. Condensing method of essence chi necklace, these 8 big characters leaped into Lin Yi's eyes. This was a photocopy of a thread-bound secret book. Originally, it was handwritten, but the Tagan clan's book collection was a photocopy. Now that technology was advanced, people didn't need to copy anymore. These clans and sects also used this more convenient method to copy the secret book. The basic requirement for condensation. Blacksmith. Blacksmith? Lin Yi furrowed his brows. This thing required a blacksmith to condense. Before he could continue reading, the basic requirement on the first page gave Lin Yi a headache. A blacksmith must have the 3 attributes of metal, wood, and fire. Lin Yi thought about his own situation. He couldn't even be an alchemist, let alone a blacksmith, who had the metal attribute. What a headache. Originally, he thought that he had gotten a good thing, but he found out that it was impossible to realize. However, this also indirectly proved one point. This Tagan clan was really not simple. They even had a blacksmith, a profession that had disappeared. This had already surpassed the existence of the ancient sect. However, these were not important. No matter how powerful the Tagan clan was, they were only active in Raylorda town. Their influence didn't extend out. At least Lin Yi didn't find any connection between the ancient sects and them for the time being. Although Lin Yi felt that he wasn't a blacksmith, he still continued to flip through it. After all, his curiosity made Lin Yi unwilling to give up. Refining method. A piece of top-notch jade pendant. Chapter 2298. Number of vitality inner elixirs required for refining. 5. 5? It wasn't a lot, but it wasn't a small amount either. Lin Yi only had 3 now, including the one that the great fire lion had given him. Judging from the greedy look in the Tagan dragon's eyes when it saw the vitality inner elixirs, this thing was probably not common. Even the Tagan family that often roamed the Wulonghout mountain range probably did not have many in stock, and they would not have more than 3 at most. Otherwise, they would not have rejected the condition of 1 per person. They must really need these 2 vitality inner elixirs, which was why they did not hesitate to fall out with him. There was also a note at the back. 5 was the minimum number, and the more, the better. Moreover, the higher the level of the spirit beast, the better the effect. This explanation did not have an upper limit, which made Lin a little puzzled. The more, the better? There was a limit to the size of the jade pendant. If there were too many vitality inner elixirs, would the jade pendant still be able to hold so many vitality inner elixirs? Was there a need for a huge jade pendant? With doubts, Lin continued to read the refining instructions on the next page. Auxiliary materials required for refining: pure topaz, blue crystal powder, colored steel. F***CK. When Lin Yi saw this page, he could not help but curse. What a scam! Wasn't this too much of a scam? The supplementary materials were actually these 3 as well. Lin Yi only had a small amount of pure topaz and colored steel for these 3 materials. He did not even have blue crystal powder. Did the refining of this vitality necklace also require these 3 materials? Lin Yi's voice was rather loud, and Sun Jingyi was awakened by Lin Yi. She opened her eyes in a daze and looked at Lin Yi. When she realized that Lin Yi was talking to himself, she fell asleep again. With a wry smile, Lin Yi continued reading. The following was an explanation of these supplementary materials. The explanation stated that for every additional inner dan of a spirit beast, a corresponding amount of pure topaz, blue crystal powder, and colored steel was required. It seemed that the more inner dawn there were, the more supplementary materials were required. However, this made Lin Yi feel strange. These explanations were very detailed, but they didn't explain the jade pendant, the main material used to carry these things. They only said that it was a good jade pendant, and they didn't say the size of the jade pendant. It seemed that any kind of jade pendant could be used. Could it be that there was no limit to the size of the jade pendant? Suddenly, Lin Yi thought of something. Blue crystal powder, pure topaz, and colored steel. Weren't these the necessary materials needed to refine the jade space? These materials could be used to create a virtual 4-dimensional space in the jade pendant. In that case, could the spiritual beast, Yuan Qi, and Naiden also rely on the same principle? Using these 3 supplementary materials to create a virtual 4-dimensional space in the space of the jade pendant to play the role of embedding the spiritual beast Yuan Qi and Naiden? Thinking of this, Lin Yi felt that it was very possible. In this way, the previous doubts could also be explained. Why was the size of the jade pendant not explained, but only the quantity of the spiritual beast Yuan Qi and supplementary materials was explained? I see. Lin Yi nodded in realization. He estimated that his guess was not far from the truth. Even if the space inlaid with the spiritual beast, Yuan Qi, and Naiden was not a 4-dimensional space, the principle should be the same. Sure enough, when Lin Yi continued to read, It was about the specific refining method of the essence necklace. However, these steps were extremely simple in Lin Yi's eyes, much simpler than the refining of the jade pendant space. The steps were simplified, and the method was also much simpler. If Lin Yi hadn't carefully looked at the refining method of the jade pendant space before, he wouldn't have found any problems at this moment. However, Lin Yi was looking forward to the refining of the jade pendant space, so he naturally paid attention to the refining method. At this time, looking at the refining method of the essence necklace, he felt that it was much simpler. That's not right. Didn't they say that blacksmiths were very rare, and that one must have the physique of gold, wood, and fire to become a blacksmith? If Lin Yi could successfully refine the jade pendant space according to the refining method described above, then refining this essence necklace would be a piece of cake. Could it be that he could become a blacksmith? If not, then what was the point of refining the jade pendant space in the jade pendant space that was taken out from the cave? This cave couldn't be deceiving him, right? Thinking of this, Lin Yi entered the jade pendant space and asked Jiao Lao, if I collect pure topaz, blue crystal powder, and colored steel, can I refine the jade pendant space to make the jade pendant space? This was the first time that Lin Yi had time to talk with Jiao Yazi in a long time. Previously, Lin Yi was either injured or very nervous. Even if he was in the jade pendant space, he could still sense the situation outside with his divine sense. Now, he finally settled down. That's right. Jiao Lao nodded and said with certainty, that means I can become a blacksmith? Lin Yi hesitated and asked, I don't know if you can become a blacksmith, but I'm sure you can condense and make a storage space for a jade pendant. I don't know much about your mental cultivation method, and I haven't verified it in the cultivation world. So I don't know if you're a blacksmith if you can condense a storage space for a jade pendant, Elder Jiao explained. I got a secret book on how to condense a profound chi necklace. The way to condense a profound chi necklace seems to be a simplified version of the way to condense a storage space in a jade pendant. It saves a lot of steps and is much simpler. Lin Yi told Jiao Yazi about his gains. According to the book, only a blacksmith can refine an essence chi necklace. If that's the case, then you should be able to become a blacksmith. Jiao Yazi said, the premise is that you have mastered the mental cultivation method used to refine the jade pendant space. However, I am not sure if you can refine an essence chi necklace. You can try. Then can I use the jade pendant I have as the base material? It won't destroy the original function of the jade pendant. For example, it will make you disappear, right? Lin Yi asked with some hesitation. Truth be told, if Lin Yi wore another jade pendant, it would be too long-winded and cumbersome. It would naturally be better if he could combine the two. If I use this jade pendant as the base material, I don't know if I can refine it, but it will definitely not break. Jiao Yazi said, if this jade pendant is so easy to break, I would have lost it long ago. I wouldn't have to wait until now. Chapter 2299. Weaponsmiths had to have metal, wood, and fire elements, and elixirs only had to have wood and fire elements. In other words, all weaponsmiths should know how to concoct elixirs, but Lin Yi didn't. What was the reason for this? Shaking his head, Lin Yi didn't think about it for the time being. With Han Jingjing, the mobile furnace beside him, it didn't matter if he was an alchemist or not. Wouldn't it be more awesome to focus on blacksmithing? It seemed like he had to quickly collect the three materials: pure yellow jade, blue crystal powder, and colored steel. Only by collecting more of these three materials could he create an essence necklace and a storage space. However, he reckoned that the Tagan family should have these three materials, or at least a few of them. When Tagan Long wanted to condense the essence chi necklace, he should have started to collect these supplementary materials. Otherwise, even if he found the essence chi Niden of a spirit beast, it would be useless. It was impossible now. In the future, when he was stronger, he would go to the Tagan family in Ruilita town and steal some good stuff. Not to mention the supplementary materials. Just Taganlong's 5-element Bagua Zhang was enough to make Lin Yi drool. Just the first style was so powerful. What kind of domineering technique was this? Thinking about the 5-element Bagua Zhang, Lin Yi's heart started to itch. This kind of technique was simply unheard of. If Lin Yi didn't experience it himself, it would be hard to imagine that there would be a technique that was even better than the Frenzy Fire Fist in this world. The Frenzy Fire Fist was the ultimate technique of the ancient sect that Thalbert was in. It must be quite powerful. For thousands of years, many sect masters had practiced it, and there were many masters who were at the peak of Sky class late phase peak. It could be seen how powerful this technique was, even if Thalbert's sect was only a second or third-rate ancient sect. As long as it was related to the ancient times, it shouldn't be simple. For example, Feng Mitian and Zhang Naipeo, they shouldn't be underestimated. At this moment, Lin Yi had an urge to steal the technique. Even thinking about the power of the 5-element Bagua Zhang, he couldn't suppress it and wanted to explore the Tagan family again. Lin Yi was very sure that if he could learn this technique, it wouldn't be a dream for him to fight an Earth-class late-phase peak. Taganlong's defense wasn't much, but his attack was unquestionable. Although he was heavily injured by Lin Yi in the end, the damage to Lin Yi wasn't small either. Lin Yi was very clear that if he didn't have the firebolt in his hand, it would be hard to say who would be the first to fall. Taganlong, 5 Bagua Bagua Zhang, of the Fire Bagua Bagua Fist was just a trick. Once this idea popped up in Lin Yi's mind, it was just a flash of inspiration. However, once this idea popped up, it was a little uncontrollable. It was like bamboo shoots after the rain, germinating in Lin Yi's heart. It wanted to urge Lin Yi to take action. Of course, this was impossible. It was an act of suicide, and Lin Yi definitely wouldn't do it. Even if the terrifying 12th and 6th brother didn't make a move, just Taganlong, second guardian, and third guardian would be enough to make Lin Yi suffer. So instead of taking the risk, it was better to carefully recall the scene when he fought with Taganlong last night. Thinking of this, Lin Yi closed his eyes slightly. The scene in the Tagan family's library last night was like a movie slowly replaying in front of his eyes. From the moment Taganlong entered the library and made his first move, everything appeared in Lin Yi's mind. However, the situation at that time was relatively urgent, and Lin Yi didn't pay attention to Taganlong's martial arts technique at first, so he more or less missed it at the beginning. However, Taganlong's movements later, especially the strange light flashing on his palms, were still fresh in Lin Yi's memory. Lin Yi frowned. He couldn't help but stretch out his palm and imitate Taganlong's movements, deducing the situation back and forth according to his memory. However, Lin Yi could only remember the activation method of Taganlong's martial arts technique. Lin Yi didn't know the mantra he cultivated. As such, Lin Yi could only imitate the Tagan Dragon's method of activation and the way he struck out. As for the mantra to activate the martial arts technique, Lin Yi could only use the art of dragon mastery to make up for it. Then, he used the activation method of Frenzy Fire Fist to convert his true chi into Frenzy Fire Fist's fire attribute true chi, and infused it into his palms. Ha! Lin Yi shouted angrily and pushed out both palms. In order not to affect Sun Jingyi, Lin Yi only used the first form of Frenzy Fire Fist's fire attribute true chi. Boom. Boom. Two loud noises that seemed to shatter the void came from the air. This was the power produced by Lin Yi's palms in the air. Although Lin Yi's 5 elements 8 trigrams palm looked a little nondescript, like a combination of Taganlong's 5 elements 8 trigrams palm and Lin Yi's Frenzy Fire Fist, its power was beyond Lin Yi's imagination. This move only used the mantra of the first form of Frenzy Fire Fist, combined with the activation method of Tag and Long's 5 elements 8 trigrams palm that Lin Yi had imitated and deduced. The Fire Dragon 8 trigrams palm that he executed was more powerful than Frenzy Fire Fist. Although it could not be compared to Tag and Long's authentic 5 elements 8 trigrams palm, it was much more powerful than Lin Yi's previous Frenzy Fire Fist. Lin Yi's first form of Frenzy Fire Fist was at least equivalent to the second form of Frenzy Fire Fist. Even so, Lin Yi's heart was filled with crazy joy and pride. Although he did not know if the second form of Fire Dragon 8 trigrams palm released by combining the mantra of the second form of Frenzy Fire Fist with the activation method of the 5 elements 8 trigrams palm, what was certain was that it was definitely much more powerful than the ordinary second form of Frenzy Fire Fist. I can actually create my own martial arts technique now. In Lin Yi's knowledge, only the founders of the various ancient sects or martial arts masters could create martial arts techniques. But Lin Yi had created his own martial arts technique. Although its power was not comparable to the original 5 elements 8 trigrams palm, it was already a miracle that Lin Yi could successfully execute this martial arts technique that had been disassembled and modified by him. How could he ask for more? One must know that not all of the founders of ancient sects were able to create their own martial skills. The martial skills that they cultivated were all passed down from ancient times and were refined by some martial arts seniors over and over again. Even in ancient times, only an extremely small number of talented cultivators could summarize and create a unique martial technique. Even if they wanted to modify and perfect an existing martial technique, it was not an easy thing to do. You're tuning into the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.